Hi, folks. I made it. Let me bring my friends on real quick before I hit these buttons. Oh, boy. Okay. Anthony.
Hi, everybody.
Oh,
Hey, hello.
Ron.
Hi, everybody.
All
Hi.
right.
All right. Now, listen,
Ron.
before we start, there's two things that I have to do.
Okay.
There's two things I have to do. It won't take long, but I have to.
Take the sound off.
A friend of mine that I know for a long time asked me to do him a favor, and I'm gonna do it now because when things were tough with me in Florida, and I needed something to do, and I was penniless, he helped me out a lot. In fact, he got me a job with Gus, who owned what the hell was that gambling ship, and he put me in charge of the whole sports book, the whole front of the ship, and we did very well. And Gus, who owned this, I think it was called Sea Cruise. I forgot, but it was
Sunrise Cruise.
Sun Cruise. Yeah, Sun Cruise. And so he got me to run the whole sports book, and we did really well. And Gus was that multi-millionaire guy that started Subways up in Canada, I think, and then he came down here, become very, very wealthy. And he was doing good on the gambling ship, and I was doing good with the sports book, and we got along real good, except for a couple of things. He was very wealthy, but he was tough to deal with. He didn't want to pay anybody, and unfortunately, all the machines that he had there, he leased them or bought them from heavyweight guys, and he, at the same time, he was putting together, I think, a 15 fleet of gambling ships, and he wanted me to set them all up, and with the whole ticket tape and all the televisions and everything. The whole front of all the ships were going to be my sports book. And one day, I don't know why I'm telling this story, but I started it, so I might as well finish it. So one day, a couple of these guys that he owed money to came in, and they said, "Larry, you better tell him to pay." He says, because he keeps ducking us and everything. So Gus came in, and I says, "Gus," I says, "these guys don't fool around. You got the money, just pay them." He says, "Nah, they kind of fuck me around and this and that." I says, "Yeah, but it is what it is now, and you're gonna have to deal with them with all the other ships and everything else." I says, "So you better pay them, or get yourself a BMW, because that's the only car that comes as an extra with bulletproof windows." So you know what? A week later, he showed up with a BMW. He wouldn't pay, but he left the ship one day. He's on Federal Highway, I think it was. It was like 2:00 in the morning, and a car pulls next to him. It was a girl. She had the window down, and she put the window down, and that was the end of him. So that was the end of Gus. But anyway, my friend, his name was Huey. He got me on the Sun Cruise, and it really helped me out a lot when I needed help. He was one of the few guys that came to the rescue. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you a little bit about him, and so here goes. Okay, this is about my friend Huey. His career in the sports handicap industry began in 1970 with a syndicated racing newspaper called the Sports Eye of New York. I remember that well. He was tasked with adding sports content to what was totally at that time a racing publication. Soon after, he launched the nation's first ever sports advisory telephone service. I think he called it Huey's Dial a Winner. Yeah, he started that in 1970 or 71. It was called Huey's Dial a Winner. And I remember he had the whole back page of the Inquirer was him. He was then contacted by the Wall Street Journal, and they did a feature film on him. And I think it was on the front page. It was a 6-column story on November 11th in 71 called Better Bets. And by then the media started paying attention to him, and CBS News contacted him to be featured in the TV special called Gambling in America. And in 1976, the show led to an amazing uprising in sports services, which quickly spread across America. During this time, Huey advised. He was the first one and the only one back then, and he dealt with everyone from casual players to real high end clients that bet 6 figures, and probably some of the biggest bettors in the country. And this is his information here. So I met Huey. I wish I would have met him a little sooner than I met him. I met him right around 72 because he was in the horse business and he did have some trotters. And I wish I would have met him before, but when I met him, I had already been forced to stop gambling. And but maybe if I would have met him before, I wouldn't have been in the trouble.
I'm not gonna do it.
But anyway, that's the story with Huey, and I wish him a lot of luck. He's a great guy, and probably I know a couple of sports handicappers, but he is the best by far, in my opinion. I don't bet no more, but had I known him back then, I would have. And then through the years that I was with him in Florida, he made a lot of people a lot of money. So anyway, Huey, I wish you a lot of luck. All right, the next thing I want to talk about, and then we'll get to our stuff, is this. And I don't want anybody to get angry at me, but I'm going to ask you all to be sponsors again. And this was my idea, not Freddie's. Freddie's putting together a whole tribute again to Michael LaChance, and he was, the thing he did with Carmine was very well received, and a lot of people sponsored that, and it paid for Freddie's time and effort, and that's all I'm looking to do, because like I said last week, Freddie, for 10 years he'd been going to Washington trying to do everything to help the sport of harness racing, and he did it all on his own dime. And everything he does, even his radio show, that the show that he has, he pays for everything. And so when he told me that he was going to do tribute to all living, I says you just can't do it for nothing, Freddie. So anyway, if you would, and I'm going to ask you to do this every time he has another one. And I think the next one he's going to do is
Billy O'Donnell.
Billy O'Donnell, yeah. And then he's going to eventually get to everybody, and just so maybe it's going to be once a month or once every 2 months, whatever. It just copy this number. That it just go to www.ustrots.com, and it gives you all the information you have to know. These boxes there for $10, $20, $50, $100, whatever, and just help him out. And it's not right that he did everything he did, and he does everything he does for nothing. So let's just help him out. You were very kind and generous last time, so let's keep it up. And I'm going to mention it every time I have a podcast. So write this number down, and that's it. And we're going to have Freddie on Thursday. Okay.
Yeah,
That's
Freddie, if you're watching, I received your book this week in the mail, so thank you.
Yeah, I think he sends a book to everybody who all the sponsors. I think he sends a book to them.
Yeah.
I never got a book.
Yeah.
Thank you, Freddie. I got mine today too.
Oh, maybe I'll get mine tomorrow.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, that's good. I told him not to do it. I says, you're going to be mailing these things out. You're going to mail, if you got to mail 100 books out, it's going to cost you, you know what, just do the podcast. But he says, no, let me mail the books out. He's just a good guy. Okay. Let's see. Now, the next thing we should get to is, Anthony, last week we talked about your, I call it a refinery. What do you call it?
Meadery.
A meadery. Okay. All right. So
It's a meadery.
you sent me a video,
Yeah.
and we tried to explain it last week, but I screwed up. I erased all the pictures that you sent me. So now you sent me a video, right?
Yeah, it's a 5-minute video. It's not a very long video. And what it does, it just describes Mead, where it came from, just a little bit more about it than what I did last week.
All right. Well, where is
people
it?
are not interested in it, you know, in the following weeks, we could do more on it. If not, then that's cool too. You know, it's not for everybody. So I'm going to put it back up here, and you have it there. So all you got to do.
So now we're going to play it. And then after we play it, whatever you think is left out of this, then you know.
Okay. Yeah.
And I just want to tell everybody listening, he sent me a bottle about 6 months ago. First of all, it's a very, very healthy drink because it's made with honey, and but it has alcohol in it. He sent me a bottle of strawberry, right?
Yeah, it was strawberry.
It tasted like a strawberry float. It was delicious. And I drank the whole glass. I thought it was soda because you don't even feel nothing. But then, because I don't drink, and then my head got a little spinny. But it was really good. It was delicious. And I know that Eddie bought 5 or 6 bottles.
Yeah,
and he loved it.
Ordering again.
Yeah, he's going to reorder it. So it's great as a gift, or it's really good stuff. It really is.
We brew ourselves. We brew everything. We got about 16 flavors, like I said last week. So it's just a good drink. We won. We got 10 bottles that we won gold and silver medals with in the wine and meat competition. So it's good. But when you watch the video, you'll get a little more educated on.
Okay, all right. I'm gonna play it now.
Hit it.
Mead comes from the Old English word meadu, which means fermented honey drink. Although mead is usually referred to as honey wine, it's actually not a wine at all. Wine is typically produced from fermented fruits and berries, whereas mead is produced from fermented honey. Mead's date of origin is always up for debate, but the liquid that was nicknamed the nectar of the gods may very well be just as old as the gods themselves, or at least as old as the honeybee has been around. Ancient pottery found in both Asia and Europe can give us a good idea of how long mead's been around because traces of the ingredients needed to make mead were found in these ancient pottery pieces. After dating those pieces, we can probably say mead has been around for the past 8,000 to 9,000 years at least. But I've also seen dates a lot further back than that, so nobody really knows. We just know that it's super old. In fact, some people say that mead was actually discovered by accident. They say that rainwater mixed with honey that was in somewhat of like a tree stump, and natural yeast was added to the mixture that fermented the honey, and then mead was created, or the first batch of mead was created. Somebody happened upon it and drank it, and that's how mead was discovered. Obviously, like anything that is this old, nobody really knows how it was created, but it's still a fun story to think about nonetheless. And given its very short list of ingredients of honey, yeast, and water, it's really not a stretch of the imagination to imagine ancient civilizations enjoying this delicious beverage. We do know one thing for sure. Since there's been bees, there's been honey. And since there's been honey, there's been mead. Although fermented honey was originally consumed on its own, it wasn't long before people started using it as the main ingredient in alcohol production. But it really is incredible how mead has stood the test of time. For example, in ancient Greece, the god Bacchus, who you probably know as the god of wine, was actually honored first as the god of mead. Evidence of mead also pops up other places in history, such as in King Tut's tomb. Traces of mead have been found in the pottery that they found whenever they excavated King Tut's tomb. And like many popular drinks, they pop up in literary works as well, such as the Canterbury Tales, Beowulf, and Tolkien's Lord of the Rings. But of course, you're probably waiting for the connection of Vikings and mead. So let's dive into that a little bit. Pop culture really has the world convinced that Vikings downed mead like it was water. And this is really a misconception, because although Vikings did probably enjoy mead, it wasn't quite as extensive as pop culture would lead you to believe. So known for their beekeeping practices, the Vikings would make their own mead. They actually made two different kinds of mead. So what they would do is they would take the honeycomb from a hive, they would put it in a cloth bag and wait for the pure honey to drip out through that bag. They would take that pure honey and they would turn it into a mead. This mead, since it was made with that pure honey, was really only for the nobility. They would then take that honeycomb that was left in the bag, crush it, add it to water, and that would be the second type of mead, and that was for more of the common folk. But the fact that the Vikings produced these two different types of mead really leads us to the answer as why mead falls out of popularity in the 1600s. And it really boils down to it was impossible to keep up with the demand for honey because it's such a laborious task of getting that honey from the honeycomb, and also it was just too expensive to make. With these two reasons, and also with the ever-growing popularity of beer and wine, and the fact that they were both cheaper to make than mead, it's pretty easy for you to connect the dots and see why mead gets replaced in history with beer and wine. But despite mead's fall in popularity in the 1600s, it still was enjoyed throughout the rest of history, just not on the scale that you see beer and wine enjoyed. It was more reserved for royalty or people with some type of nobility in their family. But mead can't be completely lost to history, especially since it coined the term honeymoon. The term honeymoon comes from the ancient tradition of giving a newlywed couple a month or a moon cycle's worth of honey wine. And the reason for this is they thought that honey wine, or mead, as they're both interchangeably called, they thought this honey wine would act as an aphrodisiac and hopefully help produce an offspring for the newlyweds. So there you go. That's why it's called a honeymoon. But the good news is if you enjoy mead, which I do, mead is enjoying somewhat of a resurgence in recent years. There's a lot of brick and mortar meaderies that are popping up all over the country. So it's not difficult for you to go to your local liquor store and have at least a few options of mead that you can experiment with. There's also ways of making your own mead, which you can look up online. Those are super cool as well if you want to experiment. There's just different types of mead that you can make, and there's different types of mead you can enjoy as well. So yeah, that's the history of mead, or a brief overview of it. You can obviously get a lot deeper than that, but this should be enough general knowledge to impress your friends at your next party. Bring some mead, let them try it, let me know what you think, or if you want to try it at home, that'd be super cool too. Big shout out to batchmead.com. I got a lot of information. It's a great resource. Check them out. They'll be able to help you with all things mead. And until the next episode, try some mead for me, and I'll see you then. Cheers.
Very good.
That's Mead.
That's good.
So, our company is Keeper's Cut Meadery in Marion, North Carolina. And like I said, we brew all our own. Nothing is sourced out except the honey because we use so much of it. But it's all brewed in-house.
Good.
So,
Good.
That's very good.
yeah, that's a little short history of Mead.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
And if they want to get some, how do they get it?
If they want to get some, they could just go to keeperscut.com. We have a website, and it's all listed on there, prices, shipping, and you can get everything off the website.
Keeper's Cup?
Keeper's Cut. Yep.
Oh, cut.
Cut, yeah. I don't know if anybody's right there.
Well, you should have sent me that picture. I would have put it up.
Yeah, no, I know. I tried sending it, but for some reason it wouldn't click on. I don't know if I
All
can.
right, we'll put it up. We'll put it up next time.
We'll put it on next time, yeah. But that's just a brief history.
Okay.
Keep this cut.
All right. Okay, good. All right, what do you want to talk about today?
I don't know. I'm pissed off because I was going through some videos on YouTube, and I've been looking for this video, and I seen it, and it said Eastern Chief avoids accident. So I hurried up and clicked it on, and then it went to something else. I went back and can't find it. My brother looked for it. I got Mike Trust looking for it. It was a race that I was in. Catman's, I think Billy O'Donnell was in it, and there was a bad accident in it, and I happened to escape the accident. And I don't know. I don't know what happened to the race. I can't find it. I tried. So,
Well,
that's my dilemma. And I shouldn't be cutting out because I turned my coaxial cable into a Cat 6. So now I'm hardwired. I'm not on Wi-Fi. So nobody should be cursing me anymore because I go in and out.
nobody curses you.
No. So that's that.
All right. How's your brother doing? He helped me a lot.
Yeah.
He's
He's doing okay.
he's pretty good with all that stuff.
Yeah, he's good with all that. He always was. Yeah.
Can you tell me how he made out with his date that day? Well, you're not allowed to.
No. He made out pretty good with her. And then they were discussing what to do one Sunday. And then he called her later on that night and never heard from her again. So he ghosted him. Who knows? Maybe she's married or something. You know, you don't know chicks what they do. I don't know.
Oh boy!
I talked to John Putino. He told me to send his best to you. I talked to him a couple of days ago. He's doing good. And
How is Carmine Abatello doing? Anybody?
I don't know.
I don't know. I don't
Yeah,
know.
no.
I asked Freddie to find out, so maybe Thursday we'll have some update. But
Yeah.
he didn't look too good in that picture. But I think he's a lot better now. He went through a lot. He's like 90 years old now, right?
I was going to say he's got to be in his later 80s, right?
Yeah,
I think.
probably.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Larry, I can report I went to the Meadowlands on Saturday for the Hamiltonian.
Oh, you
that's
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was a beautiful day, very hot. Unless you go up on the bleachers, you can't see the races at all. They have the paved part where the fence is all covered with signs, and you only time you see the horses when they're right on you. But if you go up on the bleachers, like about 6 or 7 tiers up, they have nice seats and everything. Then you can see it. But it's so big. I mean, until they come to the top of the stretch, you can't see what's going on. Plus, I was surprised the tote board is too small. You can hardly see the odds. I know I'm getting old. My eyes is not that good. But the tote board is too small. It should be much bigger to see the horses, to view the races. And I
Would
was
they
able
put a tote board in?
What, Anthony?
Would they put a different tote board in?
I don't know, but I'll be honestly, truthfully, I know people are going to boo me, but I like the old Meadowlands better.
The best
the-
topo
the-
was Roosevelt.
The topo was bigger. Plus, when you watch the races, I call it the macadam. My wife makes fun of me. It was up on an angle like this, so you're standing up here, and the races are down here.
Yeah.
So you can see everything. You can see them at the top of the stretch and everything. You cannot see them at the Meadowlands at the top of the stretch.
I've never been to the new Meadowlands.
You got to be. It's a beautiful place. I mean, I'm not going to say that. I mean, they did a beautiful job, and they had a nice. The facility is beautiful. But like I said, in my opinion, for viewing, it wasn't enjoyable. The only time you can see them was there 16th of a mile from the
Well, you would
finish
think a guy that was in the business, that owns the place and has 1 or 2 other tracks, you'd think he'd design it a little better, so no matter where you were, you would be able to see.
I'm not saying it's not beautiful, and they didn't do a beautiful job, and the inside is nice. But in my opinion, just to watch the races, the old Meadowlands was much easy to. All of us know what Pompano Park is, right? When you watch the races at Pompano Park,
Yeah.
you stand where the finish line is, or up, and it goes up in an air, it goes back up, and then you're inside. You can stand there, you can see everything. But
Yeah.
the Meadowlands, you can't. The only thing is when they're just right on you, and it's just. But it was a
like
nice day, and I mean, I found it very. I was happy for him, but the owner of the track won the Hamiltonian.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jeff
It's like
Gurrell. He's
it's like carrying a picture of your wife from the knees down. All right, Anthony, who fixed his
Yeah, Anthony jinxed himself.
Anthony, who spent all week fixing his thing, he got cut off again. Hardwired, a new router or whatever you call that thing,
Has new coaxial cable,
and and he got
He jinxed himself.
and he's probably the smartest one of all of us about this kind of stuff.
yeah, he is, and he called me. He was so proud. Yesterday he called me. He says, "I fixed everything. Nothing will ever happen again." And 20 minutes into the show, he disappeared.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
He'll be back.
I'm sure. So, Joe, what else?
What else? I don't know. I was trying to think of some stories. There was
Because I know we gotta drag it, pull it out of you.
well, it's not really a horse story. It's sort of a mob story. We back in the late 70s, early 80s, we had this guy named Sally Pizza. He was a connected guy. He was up there, and every once in a while they get a truckload of stuff. So one time he got floor shine shoes. So they got this truck full of floor shine shoes, and what happened was floor shine got smart to them, hijacking the trucks. So what they did, they sent all left shoes in one truck and all the right shoes in another truck. So we got this truck full of shoes, and it was all left shoes. So Floorshine got ahead of them. And then another time, we got an order of shoes again, totally different story. And it was the shoes they use in the funeral parlors. They look beautiful on the outside, but the bottoms were cardboard. The ones they used on the people in the coffins. And so they couldn't be used, but they look beautiful, like regular great shoes, floor shines. And they were paper on the bottom. So two bad truckloads.
Yeah,
I remember once
a
I
funny
was
story.
staying at the Tradewinds Motel, and with some friends of mine, and they used to lend money, and this guy come in and he says he wanted $5,000, and he says I can put up my watch. So he puts out his arm, and Dickie says to him, he says, well, "What do you think? I'm a jerk off?" So he says, "No, why?" He says, "That's a two-shotter." So the guy says, "What's a two-shotter?" He says, "You get the first shot when somebody robs it, and the second shot when they find out that it's a fake. Get out of here." And he chased him. So that's all them phony watches are called two-shotter in the mob genre.
When I was doing the storage auctions, the storage wars, I found about 12 Rolexes, and every one of them was a Fugazi. But what I also found that was worth a lot of money, and you couldn't believe it, was I found empty Rolex boxes. So we used to put them on eBay because people who sold the bootleg ones wanted to get the original boxes. It was very important. And some of them had the certificates in them.
Yeah.
So over the course of a few years, I must have found, I would say, between 10 and 15 Rolex boxes. How much do you think they would go for on eBay? An empty box.
I have no idea.
If they had a certificate in them, they would go for around between $1,000 and $1,500.
So I was going to say
If they were just
1,500.
empty boxes, they go for like $750.
Yeah.
Just for the empty boxes, because the people used to pawn off the bootleg watches, but if they had the box and the paperwork, they'd fool a lot of people.
Yeah.
Do you know that when I think Rolls Royce was bought by Volkswagen, I think. But anyway, when the company, I think it was Volkswagen, bought out Rolls Royce, the emblem on the front of the hood was separate. It was sold separately. You know how much that emblem was sold for? $38 million just for the emblem.
Wow.
Because that was separate. I think the guy's wife made it or whatever it was, but they had to pay, I think Volkswagen had to pay $38 million just for the rights to
the trademark to that emblem.
Yeah.
Wow.
Larry, did you ever think of why they made a Rolls Royce and then almost the exact same car, a Bentley?
No.
Because where the car was manufactured, they were only allowed to manufacture a certain amount of cars under one name. And when they finally got to that limit, they stopped and just put the Bentley emblem and kept right on going. So for years, it was exactly, they have separated now, but for years, it was exactly the same company. Just one was called the Rolls Royce and one was called the Bentley.
Wow.
Yeah.
I used to have go ahead. I'm sorry, Ron.
No, I'm sorry. That where they were made in England. That's where that's what they were only allowed a certain amount of cars, and that's why they had both of them like that. But
I drove both cars, and I like the Rolls Royce was like driving on a cloud. It was the best by far, the ride. But I liked the Bentley better because it was smaller. It was just the Rolls Royce was just too big. But the ride in the Rolls Royce was like no other. I think we got our friend back. What happened there?
Cable
My
guy.
computer decided to do an upgrade. I had to stop the upgrade.
Oh, upgrade. Okay.
Unbelievable, I tell you.
I had an
hopefully
owner
it
called the
stays like
Rolls
that.
Royce Stable. I had an owner called the Rolls Royce Stable. I had him for years. Guy named Erwin Kaplan. They used to call him Cookie. He was a good guy. He ran one of these like syndicate things. He managed everything. And I had about 15, 20 horses for him. And at one point, after about 2 years, he said, Joe, we got to change we had the papers then on the horses. We have to change all the papers on the horses. I said, what happened? He said, Rolls Royce came after me for copyright infringements. And they said that they were going to sue me with 30 days. Every horse was not under Rolls Royce. So I had to change his stable name.
Wow.
After using it for years and years and years.
Listen, we got over 80 comments already.
Comments here.
Yeah, so I'm going to put the comments up, but I'm sure half of them are the social club headed by Sundance or Angelique or one of them. So
But
let's.
there are quite a few that are regular, comments that.
All right, so
read.
Maybe
we'll
you
put
better let Anthony handle them, Larry.
I'll be fine. I'll be
Skip over
fine.
the ones.
Okay, so let's just go. Let's just go one at a time. Okay, here we go. Sundance says, "Hi, Larry. Hi. What?
You can handle that.
Yeah.
Hit the like button, ring the bell. That's Sundance. Yeah, you got to ring the bell. It does something to the algorithm. Yeah, well, you get. I don't know. I don't know what it does, but it does something that's good. So hit like, right? You got to hit like.
Yeah, like, subscribe, and ring the bell.
Okay. David Arthur says, good evening, all. Good evening, David. All right. Now, is this Angelique? Are you the one that said you were going to read my book and tell me about
it? Larry.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
She's halfway through it.
She's going to read it over the weekend on her lunch hour and everything else. Well, I guess she didn't finish it yet.
No.
Be nice, Angelique.
Larry Cox. Hello, everyone. Hi, Larry. Angelique.
Hello.
Hello, Anthony, Ron, and Joe.
Hello. Hi.
Okay, let's
you got a bunch of hellos coming up.
Yeah, got a lot of hellos, but we'll just go through them real quick because then I get yelled at that I don't acknowledge the people. Okay. So we'll just go real. Angelique. Hello, Larry Cox. Okay, Angelique. Hello, David. Okay, here they go. Hello, all. Rick Simon. I hope you got to tell us how your mother's doing. I heard
He
some
said
good.
down below. If you keep reading,
Okay. Okay. Hi, Larry, Anthony, and Ron. Angelique. Hello, Rick. Angelique. We'll go. We'll get to skip some of these.
yeah.
Oh, wait a minute. Hi, Ange. How's the book? Okay. Okay. Howard Lieberman. Jeff Corral had the track altered. Sophisticated entry likes it. Sophisticated entry likes it. Nobody trusts Trotters. Too bad Freddie said 15. Yes, behind.
Maybe years
What is this? What does this mean? You just read that.
behind number 25.
What does that mean?
Row, track altered is ticket.
Nobody trusts Trotters. Too bad
Trotters,
Freddie
too bad.
said 15. Yes, behind now.
Number 25.
I don't know what that means.
I don't know. Maybe in 15 years, the Trotters will be gone.
But I think Corral did screw up when he made that statement that because he's part owner of that horse, and it's true. It's true what well, it's true that if you're going to pull the shoes on the horse, you want the track a nice, wet, soft racetrack. You don't want it hard and screened. And the trainer, I guess it was the trainer or his wife or somebody told him that they were going to pull the shoes on the winner of the Hamiltonian, and to keep the track, watered down, wet, and don't screen it, and that's what happened. And the horse win like a good horse, first over, left, then come first over, head, and then just drew off. And I don't know how Corral gets out of saying that, but I wonder what Corral would do if that story came out and the guy who owned part of that horse was the track superintendent, and then that story come out, and the owner of the horse, the other half of the owner of the horse that won the Hamiltonian in the winner's circle, gave an interview and said, I told my husband to water the track and how to do it because we were going to pull the shoes. I wonder what Corral would have did at that point. I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's always about money. It's always about the money. Okay.
Yeah, if a horseman does something, they throw them out.
Yeah. Crucify him.
Whatever happened to the horse? Whatever happened? I don't remember once. And I don't think there's anybody that got more trouble than me through the years, especially after I was reinstated. They just come at me for any little thing. And not one time ever did a horseman's representative or the representative for the horseman come and ask me if I needed help or anything. Nothing. Not one time did anybody ever ask me for help as far as the horsemen go. And I thought that's what they were supposed to do. I don't know.
It's all politics, Larry.
Yeah.
Okay, Angelique says, I'm halfway through the book. Okay.
That's good. She made progress.
Yeah.
It's been 2 weeks already.
That's all right. Leave her alone.
2 weeks.
Maybe she didn't go to Evelyn Wood.
If I mailed her a page a day, she'd be finished by now. Okay, Sundance, hit the like button, ring the bell, and subscribe. Okay. Sundance says, Rick, how's your mom? I guess he'll answer that down thing. Okay. Angelique, thank you, Rick. How are you and how's your mom doing? Okay. Larry Cox, I donated a bike for kids at the
Kids Day at Leamington.
Leamington.
Is
It
that
says Leamington, but I don't know what it's supposed to be. Race around December 7th, $150 I put it in. Larry Rolla podcast. He did it on behalf of Larry Rolla's podcast.
Well, thank you very much, Larry.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, Rick Simon says mom's okay. That's good. That's great. Okay, Bob 329. Hello all. Bab. Hi Bab. Larry Cox. Leamington is live on YouTube Sundays. I never heard of that place. What is that place? Leamington.
I never heard of it. Ron, you heard of that?
No, I never have.
All right, Anthony's looking it up. Okay. Roy Anderson, Mike Gill.
It's in
Remember
Canada.
what's that?
Leamington
Racetrack in
racetrack.
Canada. It's in
it's in
Canada.
Okay, Mike Gill. Remember him, leading owner North America. I don't know him. I don't know. I remember Dr. Gill.
Not to go.
Yeah.
Howard Liebman, Ivan the Hamiltonian seemed rigged for Jeff Gorell's horse. What a joke.
Hmm.
Dave McKenna, Mike Gill, wasn't he the owner that buried a horse on the Penn National backside and that started his downfall? I don't know. Mike Gill was right. Penn National tried to frame him. Wow. See, that's why you got to know both sides of the story. See this? He says Mike Gill, wasn't he the owner that? Now Dave McKenna says he buried a horse on the backside at Penn National, and Roy Anderson said Penn National tried to frame him. That's why you got to know both sides of the story before you make a comment. So I certainly will not comment. Plus, I didn't know Mike Gill. Larry Howard Lieberman. Larry, going for scans tomorrow. Did you get your blood work back? No, I get my blood work back tomorrow. Larry, what are you going for scans for? I think he called me on the phone. I don't remember. Jeez. Anyway, I wish you a lot of luck, Howard. Going for scans tomorrow. Let me know how you made out. Just seems like everybody's sick today. I don't. I go, like when I go tomorrow, just to get the results of my test. There's 6 levels to park, and there's not one spot. And you go, when you finally find a spot, you got to drive around. When somebody leaves, you pull in and you go inside. Thousands of people there. Thousands. Everybody's sick. And this is and the wing that I go in is for cancer. It's amazing how many people.
Yeah.
It's just amazing. And I only hope, and I don't know, I don't know, but I only hope that what they're saying about ivermectin is true. And I hope they announce it. And even hospitals make it, even though it's not approved for human use, even hospitals make it part of their therapy and treatment if it really works. And from everything that I read and everything that I wrote, everything that I read and everything that I heard, it's a parasite killing drug with absolutely no side effects, and it kills cancer. It kills cancer cells without killing anything else, and on and on and on and on. And a lot of people are using it, and everybody that I heard is using it is either completely cured or on their way to that point. Now, I know that 1 out of 3 people in the whole world have cancer, so the handful of people that I know, but it has helped them. I sure hope it works.
Seems to be helping you.
Well, I'll know tomorrow. And don't forget, I only took it for 10 days.
Yeah.
And I stopped. And now I'm going to see if the test comes back like the last one come back completely clean. Then just 10 days of it worked. But if it came back, then I'll just keep taking it.
And if it did, stay on it. You should have stayed on it.
No,
Why not? It's like taking a vitamin every day. Take it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Okay, here we go. Bab 329. Freddie is a good guy. Yes, he is. Now, Bab 329, just remember, I put that thing up. See if you can be a sponsor for, he's putting together
Michael Chance.
a thing for Michael Chance. He's going to do all the Living Hall of Famers. So please be a sponsor. I put up the thing before. I'm going to put it up every time I do a podcast and help Freddie out. I'm not saying he needs the help, but he deserves the help. So just help him out. And your name and all the sponsors are going to be listed on the podcast.
Speaking of Michael Chance, he'll be on the show in about 3 weeks.
Yeah, he told me that. Then we're gonna have Ron back on with him, and then we're gonna have Ron back on anytime Ron wants to come back on. I'm
Thank
just
you.
send him a link.
Thank you.
He can come back. He can come back on
Thank you.
anytime he wants.
Thank you.
Okay, let's see. What's this?
This next one is interesting, Larry.
Michael Chance.
Michael Chance.
Okay. Michael Chance, one of the best of all time. Highly anticipating the video. Yep. Okay.
This one.
PM Larry, just for the record, Ted Wing didn't lose his vision in one eye to a skiing accident. I'm 100% sure when he was 3, he fell on a carving knife that he took from his mom in the kitchen. I have no idea. I was told he lost. I don't know.
I heard it was a skiing accident several times.
Yeah.
I mean,
No idea.
I don't know. I don't know. Either way, it was tragic.
I know he skied. I mean, so it's possible. But that's what I heard from many people.
Okay, Gary D. Larry caught clear rerun on Sierra Leone. Oh,
boy.
Skip over it. Go ahead.
wait, let me see what he says. Larry caught clear rerun on Sierra Leone, looking like Ryder was straight and stretched. Then he left-handed whipped him. Was clear that with the hit, his head went. I don't know.
Now, well, could
I
be.
can't talk about that. I had about 15 phone calls, and I talked for about an hour, and everyone kind of defended Sierra Leone.
Well, Larry, I just want to say something real quick. My cousin Con owns a couple of thoroughbreds, and we were talking about Sierra Leone, and he says that he's a very hard horse to train. So he could be like that, even training him, not just in a race. But we'll leave that alone.
Yeah, but let me ask you a question.
Anthony,
I know. I should have.
open your mouth.
Ask you a question. When Khan says he's a very hard horse to train,
Yeah.
what does that mean?
I don't know. I didn't get into it. Because I was just talking about how he bears in and all of that. And he says, well, I just know he's a very hard horse to train. Maybe he means he's just a hard horse to deal with, or just, I don't know. I really don't know.
Well, the reason I told the 15 guys that called me I wasn't going to talk about it no more, because chances are, and one of them agreed with me, or I agree with him, he's only going to race one more time in his lifetime. And that's going to be in California. The track is going to be hard. And my friend who called me says that he will not win. So there's no sense in talking about him, because he's only going to race one more time.
So from now on, guys, that means the podcast will be about 45 minutes shorter.
40 at tops.
Hard to train. Hard to train.
I don't know.
Listen, to tell the truth, really, I know that was belabored a little bit, but why would it hurt to try what Larry said? Why would it hurt to
No,
try
it
one
wouldn't.
thing?
I
That's what
agree.
Wouldn't
successful
hurt.
trainers do. They try every single thing they
I
possibly
agree.
can.
Yeah.
It's,
I'm not saying I
Yeah.
disagree with him. I agree with him,
Right.
but
No, I understand. But Larry just is a perfectionist, and he wanted just to try everything because in his mind, he thinks he could straighten them out.
Right.
you know how many horses I claim thinking that, and sometimes you're right. So
Yeah.
why not? Just because the horse is a champion
Yeah.
doesn't mean you can't help him more.
Okay. Bab 329. Anthony is pissed. Where is his book?
Which is
What's that mean? Where
from
is it?
Freddie. He said, Joe says he got his book today and everything. I said, where's my book? Ron got his book. I said, I never got my book.
Okay.
I'm missed. I'll get it.
Jesse Black. Good evening, everyone. Please hit the like button. Jesse Black. Someday Jesse Black's going to come on this show, and he has stories that unbelievable, but he'll never do it. But we sit sometimes and have coffee in the bagel place, and he tells me some stories, unbelievable stories.
Pertaining to?
Horse racing,
Oh, really?
true stories.
So get him on.
I can't, and he won't come on. And whenever he comes up here, he sits right next to me, but off camera. I have
Dragnet. The names were changed to protect the innocent.
I have a big screen right here with a camera on it. He won't let me put him on, and he would never because he would never. I can't say any more, but
You have to respect him for it.
yeah.
You do.
Yeah.
You have to respect
Well,
him.
well, first of all, if he wanted to come on, I wouldn't let him do it anyway. I wouldn't let him. But it's just
If he doesn't have to mention names.
no, God, no, yeah, but even without names, you could fill in the blanks very, very easily.
Okay.
Larry, you want to hear one quick interesting part of the
Yeah,
book I
sure.
already read?
Yeah,
I mean, I just leafed through it. You know, it's about that trifecta trial, the superfecta trial, right? You know, this took place back early when they had 35, 40, 50,000 people at Roosevelt, and you could bet a lot of money and it wouldn't do anything to the odds. The 10 of the 11 drivers were found innocent because they really didn't have anything on them. But one of the drivers, I think it was either Insco or Carmine Lawyer, proved that that professional gamblers that had a lot of money could win the superfecta anytime they wanted. All they had to do was you have 8 horses, you eliminate 2 of the horses, and then you box the other 6. It costs you $1,080. On average, the superfecta was paying $2,200 to $4,000 every time. That's how they were making their money. So they said, why would these guys fix the races when you can legitimately do that? George Morton Levy canceled the superfecta right after that trial. There was no more superfecta. And then, but he wanted to bring it back, and the racing commission didn't want him to. He said he would have 12 horse fields. Remember that? 12 horse fields. I mean, that'd be ridiculous, but 12 horses, that way it'd be hard. But these guys were boxing 6 horses. They would throw out, sometimes they got caught, but or the superfecta would be 1,500 or 2,000, but most of the time it was $2,500 to $4,000 for $1,080 investment. And that's why they canceled it. And the only person in that trial that was found guilty was Alan Cantor. Remember him?
Yep.
He never trained, drove anything with a horse after that date, and Forrest Gary Jr. He got.
well, you know what they did with Alan. What they did with Alan Cantor was sad, because they pulled him in, and they basically offered him immunity. That they wouldn't take his license, everything would be okay. Just tell us what we want to hear, and he did. And then they stripped him of everything.
Yeah,
they just double banged him.
Yeah, had nothing to do with a horse after that ever again.
Yeah, and that was the end of Alan.
Yeah. But that guy that worked for me, Gene Mangrum, who I spoke to yesterday, his brother-in-law, Forrest Gary Jr., he got 5 years, and I think it's only a $10,000 fine, but he only spent 2.5 years. Went to some prison in Connecticut where they wore khaki pants and a polo. So, but that was the whole thing. But yeah, so the book is very interesting. There's a lot of nice pictures in there.
Freddie's book, yeah.
Yeah, it is.
I
Has a
don't know.
picture of him and his father.
I
You
don't
read it already, Ron?
No, I read the first 30 pages.
Okay, yeah, I got to look at it. I just got
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
I gotta ask him if he has any more books. That he's gonna do the same thing this time, mail the books out. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
gonna.
Angelique's looking for something to read.
Yeah, she wants to read it. Yeah, I'll give you mine, Angelique.
Yeah. Yeah, that was.
I hope she's
Yeah.
young so she has time to finish it.
No,
Could leave him in. Freddie's dad, like Freddie's, great guy, and Billy was a top-notch catch driver. Yeah, I was, I was stabled right across from him, Billy Hudson, when his barn burnt down. And the fire was so bad, and there was a lot of space between my barn and his. I had that awning put up, and the awning burnt. And when I got there in the morning, all the dogs that were on the back then, they allowed dogs. They were eating the horses that were burnt to death. It was so sad.
oh God.
And then Billy could never. I don't think anybody tried to help him. I think Huey Bell maybe. Freddie could knows more. Nobody really tried to help him. That was the downfall of Billy Hudson from that point on, I believe. Okay, let's see. Roy Anderson. I'm still a horse gambler, but I generally look at it like buying a lottery ticket. Plunk three or
Pick 3 or pick 5.
pick 5. If I spend 20 on a ticket, hope to win 500. I don't do any of that stuff. Okay, Dave McKenna. Mr. De Niro has 3.
Deloro.
Oh, DeLauro. What did I say? De Niro?
Yeah.
Nero, yeah, he's got nothing.
Mr. DeLauro has 3 in tomorrow at Saratoga, and that's why he's not here tonight. He's up there at Saratoga, and 1 in Thursday. All should be nice odds. 1 is the White Horse, Quiet Wisdom. I should call him up and ask him. I can go to, I could watch him. I can go to the Meadowlands. Well, good luck. PM, Larry wouldn't be a good idea. Larry, wouldn't it be a good idea to open up your phone line to take live calls from your viewers? I think it would make the show better. Chat box is too small to get everything you want to say in. Yeah, but I'd have to have 100 lines. I'd be on the phone constantly. And everybody that's in the chat there probably got my number. I give it out at least once a week. But that's a good idea. But I'd have to have people answering the phone for me, because that would be a good idea if I had more help.
You got to get Sundance.
Yeah.
She could be your switchboard operator.
She was supposed to come. She came here yesterday to see me. She was supposed to come back today to go in the pool, but she never showed up. Okay, Roy Anderson got the record of pick 3s at Saratoga. 10,000, 7-2, 90 to 1, all onto all 22 to 1. 10,000.
10K.
Angelique, if you have a question, please put question, then write your question, so Larry will be able to get it. Thank you very much. This way I could bypass the social network. Okay. Roy Anderson, Robert Falcone Jr. Was his dad a trainer? I don't know. I never heard of him.
Was his dad's trainer. Robert Falcone Jr. was his dad's trainer.
Robert was his dad's trainer. I don't know. Okay, hello, Jesse Black. Hello. Thanks for the suggestion. Howard Lieberman. Thanks, Dave. Eddie. Thanks, Dave. Eddie, great guy. Got out of the trotters. Even Hamiltonian won by his own. Jeff said that set the track like it's a joke. Game is dead. Too bad. Great guys in it.
Larry, can I answer one here?
Absolutely.
It says, Fox Smart says, Ron, since horses are not stalled at the tracks anymore, how would that affect your business model of transportation? It would affect it in the way that I would have no business. Because right now, every horse is shipped in to the Meadowlands or any of these tracks by 2-horse trailers, 4-horse goosenecks, 6. They all have their own. They all have their truck and trailer. Ron Burke has 18 trucks and trailers that he ships all his horses around with.
Wow.
Brookledge is still has tons of trucks, but they do show horses. They do show horses all the time, and you have to understand how much money they make because the truck doesn't go anywhere. You pick them up, you go to the show, you sit there for 8 hours. The motor isn't running. They take the horse on and off the truck and show it, and they drive back. He does do breakups for thoroughbreds, I think, into Saratoga here and there in Kentucky, and is a very good outfit. I mean, they stood the test of time. They've been a long time, but
Yeah.
no. But as far as my business would be concerned, it wouldn't because there's no Roosevelt Yonkers breakup, no Yonkers Meadowlands, no Meadowland. The Grand Circuit is almost nil. Everybody, there was 7, 8 truckloads of horses going all over the Grand Circuit. They went from the Meadows to Vernon to Springfield, Springfield to DuQuoin, DuQuoin to Chicago, back to Lexington. Everybody ships their own horses now. And to answer that question, it wouldn't be good. When I got out of the business, there was a company, a young guy in a company from Virginia that thought he could perform miracles with it, and I sold it to him. And he tried to branch out too quick and didn't make it. He didn't make it. You have to have really a base of knowledge to be able to ship the horses, accommodate all the trainers and all the idiosyncrasies.
Yeah.
I when I was on the show before, I never said, but one of the fathers of the truck drivers I had, Ralph Gallo, he was really establishing a good business for me. I mean, I shipped. I can't begin to tell you all the big guys there. One of them was D. Wayne Lucas. When he wanted me to pick him up at 8 o'clock, take him to Saratoga. I got there at 7:45. He came out and went completely crazy. All right, I don't want ever see these trucks in my barn again until exactly 8 o'clock. I said, but I'm early. I'm not late. He says, I don't want. You got all my grooms all messed up in the head and everything else. And he was really very hard to deal with. And his son was even worse. I felt very sorry for his son because I was there maybe a day later when there was a horse he had called Tabasco Cat. It was a thoroughbred. And the thoroughbreds, they walk the horses inside the barn. The barns are so big, they just walk them back and forth. You can't just walk into a thoroughbred and start looking around the stalls like you could at Roosevelt. It's not allowed. But anyway, he was walking around, and when the groom was walking Tabasco Cat around, he was a very bad horse. Remember, like Momentum, Joe?
Yeah.
Remember, that horse had to be walked with a lead shank through a pipe. Remember
Through the
that?
pipe. Yep, I
Yeah.
remember that.
And so
Bob
the
Rayner.
group, he was walking Tabasco Cat around, and D. Wayne Lucas's son came out. The horse reached up and grabbed him by the chest, right here, just like that, and flipped him over. So he had his legs between Tabasco Cat, and he was actually facing the horse that was in his chest, and ran around the shed row 2, 3 times, banging him on every trunk and everything he could possibly find. That's why he did severe brain damage to him. They never did anything with the horse because he was a good horse. I mean, they kept him. He kept racing, but that was a terrible, terrible accident. I mean, the horses are so strong. I'm sure all of you know that.
Oh my
just his
God.
mouth, grabbed him by the chest and lifted him up. Like I said, his legs were between. Can you imagine him laying there like that, looking at the horse's face, and just banged his head on. They don't have trunks like harness horses, like at every stall. You know, they have like one every 3 or 4. Banging them on the walls, everything. Put the
Wow.
kid on Queer Street like you couldn't believe.
Like a rag doll.
Yeah, just like a rag doll. Exactly right. Just he was just running around like that. But yeah, at that time I was shipping. I just tell you, Nick Zito, Scotty Schuhofer, Johnny Campo, Woody Stevens, Lucian Lauren, D. Wayne Lucas, Bill Mott, Richard Dutrow, that was the father of the one, Alan Jurgens, P.G. Johnson, Bobby Frankel, John Paracella, Frank Pancho Martin. He was the trainer of Sham, and then he had his brother Jose Martin. I don't know if anybody you know him. He liked my truck so much that he brought me one of his trucks, and I converted it into. There was only 6 horses. We converted it to 9 for him. I don't know if anybody knows that the trainer of Sham, his big owner was called Sigmund Summers. That was his name, and he built North Shore Towers in Long Island. That's where he got all his money. I forget what year it was, but he gave him $5 million back in 1960 or 70 to buy as many horses as he wanted. And he was the brother of Jose Martin. But that's where he got all his firepower from Sigmund Summers. If you ever come out on Long Island, there's these big towers by Searingtown Road sticking up on the south side of the expressway.
Searingtown Road.
Yeah, but I think I would have had really a heck of a business, but and Ralph died unexpectedly, and they really liked him, and that actually put an end to my shipping the horses.
What would you do, Ron? What would you do if you? I'll make up a story, and I don't think this ever happened to you, but it'd be a hell of a situation that you try to get out of. What if you had a ship? You had a full load, and you were shipping all these horses, all these high stake horses, and naturally, they were either mares or stallions. And what do you do when you have like six stallions, colts, and 3 mares? What do you do?
Well, you put the 3 mares together, and you put the 6 stallions together, but you put one up, and then you put a hay bag between them. A big, the hay bag is maybe, so they can't get their head around to them. But they're winning and making noises and stopping and snorting and doing anything till the truck gets going. Once the truck gets going, they start to settle down, right?
Yeah.
But when you unhook them and you try to bring them by them to unload them, you have to watch yourself, because they'll strike you and kick you, because until they get out of the truck.
Loading them would probably be a bigger problem than unloading them, getting them back into these stalls.
Yeah. Well, when you load them, Larry, you load them very decisively. You don't hesitate. You walk right in with them, and you have a guy, you swing him around the aisle, and you push his ass over and back him in, and then you have to draw him up tight in the chains until you get that hay bag up. Then you let him out so he isn't rubbing his tail on the tailboard. I don't. All of you remember Steve Demas. Right?
Yeah, sure.
He had a champion mare called Nadia Lobel. Right?
I remember.
And when Louis got all the horses from Jerry Silverman, they were all on Peretti's farm, which is now Eddie Lohmeyer's wife's medical clinic. It's a showpiece. If you look it up, you won't believe what a beautiful job, and he works with her. Anyway, I went down with him, and he got all the horses, and he gave the horses to Louis for a short period of time. But one of them was Nadia Lobel. Right by that little shack, I told everybody at right the end of the road at Roosevelt Raceway was a loading ramp. You had to load her there. And one of the problems of her was when you lined her up, she ran right into the truck 100 miles an hour. I mean, she would almost like blast through the other door. You had to slow her up and get her in the truck. But the worst part was getting her out. You had to make sure you had people on the side of her halter. When you undid that lead shank, you had to hang on, because she ran out of that truck 100 miles an hour, and you couldn't You know how we used to pull the ramps down for them to walk up on, right?
Yeah.
You had a loader at a loading ramp and unloader the loader. They had a couple at the Meadowlands.
Used to have to roll the mats down.
You had to roll the cocoa mat down and do that. But she was you had your heart in your throat every time you had a loader and an unloader, right? Times she would leap off leap off the truck, right? And it was unbelievable. But it's not as easy as people think. But
Yeah.
you have to have the owners and the trainers have to have the confidence in you and your men that you can handle their horses. I had a very bad situation. I was coming up from Florida with 12 horses. At that time, Mickey McNichol was partnered with Joe Caroluzzi. It was called Caroluzzi and McNichol Stable, right?
Yeah, I
And
remember.
the two nicest guys ever. They gave me their business from day one. I didn't have to go beg for it. They were just regular guys like us. You know what I mean? And Joe Caroluzzi was one of the hardest workers there was. Coming up from Florida with 12-horse van, brand new van. I just had it refinished. And you know the horses are stand on straw, right? Somebody went by and flicked a cigarette into the back compartment,
Oh my God.
and the truck caught on fire. The only thing that saved me was my best driver, Big Bill, the black guy that was with me from day one, and his partner. The grooms signaled. They pulled the truck right over. But you know how fast that burns, right?
Oh
Right.
yeah.
And now we have maybe 4 lead shanks in the truck. You got 12 horses and 4 lead shanks. What do you do with those horses?
Oh man.
Right. So they immediately they didn't even pull the ramp down. They just jumped them out of the truck. They had a lead shank, tied them to a tree. We're in North Carolina. And they got 4 horses out that way. Big Bill took his belt off, jumped one horse and hobbled him and turned him loose. Hobbled his front feet, took the hay bags, got the hay out of him. Now remember, the fire is raging now, right? And you got no halter. They got 10 horses hobbled and tied to the trees. They had to just let the other 2 loose. Can you imagine having your racehorse just turn loose on 95 North?
Oh,
And you know what that sounds like going down the road with those steel shoes on? You've seen at Roosevelt Raceway when a horse gets loose from a groom that goes by 100 miles an hour, right? You're just waiting for him to do one of these numbers and land on his hip. Anyway, so they turned him loose, right? They got the fire. Each truck had 4 fire extinguishers. We kind of got the fire out. My whole inside of the truck was gutted, right? But it didn't burn to the ground, and the tires weren't. Big Bill, one by one, got those horses back in the truck, except for the 2 that ran down the road. So he very slowly crept on the shoulder. There they were in the woods, about 50 feet in the woods, just standing there, not hurt. So it was very lucky. Got those horses up and got them back to the Meadowlands. Of course, I apologize to Joe Caroluzzi. It wasn't my fault. Somebody threw a cigarette in there. But tell them whatever I can do for you, I'll never charge you another dime. You feel guilty, right?
Yeah.
And
Sure.
all the horses, they did pretty well. But you can't help but thinking, if your horse just finished second and got beat, did that smoke bother him? You know what I mean? If he got beat out for third, did that smoke bother him? Because let me tell you something. The truck is, that hay, the straw burns like crazy, and some of the hay bags were on fire. It was a horrendous occasion. I mean, I was up. I got a call from the state police there, and it was one of the worst nights of my life. I mean, we didn't have cell phones like you have now. You know what I mean?
Had to be terrible.
That you could say, "What's happening now?" You didn't have any of that. You had to worry, but yeah, it was lucky, and of course, I had to rebuild the whole damn truck again. But I wasn't worried about that. I was worried about the horses. But when I heard that, when the smoke cleared, literally, Big Bill, I said, "You just let those 2." He said, "What was I going to do with them?" You know what I mean? I had no other way to do them.
He saved their lives.
Can you imagine seeing them running down 95, and then they went in the woods and just stood there?
I got to ask you a question, Ron. Maybe you know the answer. Maybe I shouldn't ask this question, but I'm very curious. Mickey, they were 2 of the greatest, really good people and good friends of mine. In fact, I remember when Joe's son, I think they were in a restaurant, his son went into the bathroom and died or something.
Yeah.
Why did Mickey and Joe split up?
He wanted to stay in Florida and just drive the horses at Pompano.
Mickey did.
I don't want to talk out of school. Maybe at that time he was starting to have a few problems, a few demons he had to get rid of. But he wanted to he wanted to drive at Pompano, and he was very good. I told you about that horse Racy Royce that I had. This was $180,000 yearling that Mike Gagliardi bought, right? As a 2-year-old, he bowed both tendons and pulled a suspensory, right?
Wow.
Couldn't get him to the races. Finally, as a 4-year-old, Jimmy McArdle, you know him?
Yeah, it was in the military.
Yeah, well, he was a trainer at Roosevelt.
Yeah.
And his owner was a lawyer. I'm not going to mention his name because I'm not going to mention any names of anybody that might be
I
still
know,
living.
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah. Anyway, Jimmy got him to the races, right? And I saw him at Yonkers when he was a 30 claimer, right? He had front feet like that. Anyway, I went to ask him if I could buy him off him. He said, "You have to go ask my owner." I went to the owner's office right off Northern State Parkway, and he was like very rude. And I said, "You want him? Just claim him." I said, "Okay, no problem." Anyway, I did. So I claimed him for 40,000. When I gave him to Louis, Louis said, "What in the heck would you claim a horse like this for? You see his front feet? They were like two stovepipes, right?" But anyway, he had them a little bit under control. Louis never trained him. He never trained him. He jogged him for 5 miles a day, and on Wednesday he jogged him 7 miles. But Big Bill, that's the same guy that saved those horses, right after he semi-retired from driving. He was the groom of Racy Royce.
Mm-hmm.
Every day after he jogged him, he had to stand him in a bucket of ice. Went to the up to the track kitchen, got one of those great big,
Yeah.
big ship basket full of ice, and he stood there. Well, one day Big Bill forgot him in there, and he got hypothermia, right? So when we found him, he was hanging in the cross ties.
Oh boy.
Just literally hanging in the cross ties. And Louis went crazy, got all his grooms over there. They were holding him up, right? And he was tying up, of course, right? So anyway, you just couldn't hold him anymore, and they let him. He actually pulled the cross ties out of the wall. He fell down. The horse was actually leaning over and pointing to his stomach, like there was a problem in there. You know what I mean? So one of the vets came along, and Louis said, "Get everybody Doc Carter," but Doc Carter, because he was racing that night. He figured Doc Carter would give him something he couldn't race, right? Anyway, I forget what vet came along, and he said to him, he said, "You got one chance. We'll get him up, right, and run him around the infield there and see if he can get the gas out of him." When he flipped his lip, his gums were gray, almost black. I ran him around the infield. I have never heard an explosion like this in my life. He actually was farting his brains out. I mean, it was so loud. And you flipped his lip up, it turned all pink again. And the horse actually was okay. He was racing that night. Louis reached in his pocket, gave me 500, said, "Bet 500 to win on him." I said, "After all this, you think he's going to win?" He said, "He's got the best drug in him he ever could have."
Yeah.
That adrenaline, the natural drug adrenaline. And he just, Jimmy Rohn drive him. He just jogged. But I mean, that was a story. But when I had that horse, in Florida, remember I told you I gave him to Dick McCumber? He couldn't train him, so there was no problem. Mickey McNichol drove him every week in the Open. I used to stand up from the finish line. I'm not telling stories, and Mickey McNichol come around and go, "He's good tonight," just like that.
Yep.
I would go and bet 2,000 to win for me, and I would bet 200 to win for him and 200 to place. The horse would win. He wouldn't come looking for me. I would see him in the barn area, right? But that was the kind of loyalty he had. And there was one night, and when he just went, he's not good, because the bow tendons would bother him. But every horse Mickey McNichol ever drove for me, right? He always let me know if the horse. I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I don't know. You're not supposed to be talking to the people. One year at the Hamiltonian, Racy Royce wasn't in the Open, but I think he was in one of the higher classes. Mickey McNichol come around. I was up there. And he told me he's good. He won in 51 flat. Back then. Like I said, this horse had a bow tendon and a suspensory, and I actually sold him. I never can remember the name of the trainer, but you guys would know. In Florida, a guy from Canada, he wanted him. He wanted to use him to breed, And as he's got older and older and older, he was, dropping down. So he asked me if I would take 20,000 for him, and I took it.
Rob Lorenzo?
No, it was forget I always keep thinking of Peter Blood, but it wasn't him. It was some other guy. Peter Blood was a trainer from Canada.
Yeah.
He was a customer of mine. One of the greatest guys in the world.
Yeah, nice guy. His wife was
Yeah,
into real estate.
he had an open pacer down there, and the horse wouldn't perform. He actually had to put the horse on a diet. Did you ever hear that? When he finally got the horse to lose weight, his ribs were showing. The horse started to perform. Anyway, he had a mare that he bought at a sale. It was his pride and joy that he had a little Jake Lobel colt out of, and he was the nicest horse in the world. And the same guy that I told you that Anthony Giavalli had owed me 250 for a long toll offered him 350 for this horse right before the Berries Creek, and he didn't take it. Send the horse to the Meadowlands. Trainer called him. Guess what happened? Come off the racetrack, dead lame. Right? They looked at it. He broke a bone. Right? So those are some terrible stories. A lot of these things happen at Pompano. I think an interesting story for your viewers is one day I went into Del Miller's barn to see him, and Mickey Mantle was sitting behind his desk with his feet up. And I walked in, "Hi, Mickey, how you doing?" He said, he wasn't that sociable, to tell you the truth. Nice, but social. He said, "Oh, he's out on the track. He'll be back in a few minutes." I said, "Okay. Is it all right if I wait?" "Yeah, wait." So at that time, Alex Rodriguez had just got that unbelievable contract from the Yankees.
Hmm.
So I said, "Mickey, what do you think about this unbelievable contract that Alex Rodriguez got from the Yankees?" Now you have to remember, I think the most he ever made was 145,000 a year, Mickey Mantle, maybe
Wow.
165. But anyway, so he said, "What do you think about that money?" I said, "Millions." He goes, "I don't think there's anything wrong with it, but just give it to him for 1 year." He said, "The minute you start giving these guys multiple year contracts,
They never produced.
they never produce. They don't have
Drive.
That desire, yeah.
that desire." And
Yeah.
Yeah.
I said, "Okay." So and I left. That Sunday. Now remember, I told you I had this horse with Gary Lewis called New York Yankee. It was
Hmm.
actually NY Yankee, right? He was the horse that Jimmy Simpson bought for about 200,000. Made 10 breaks as a 2-year-old. I bought up at the sale for 12,000. I was supposed to only go to 8, right? Gary Lewis got him going. Had his front shoes on backwards, and he was winning. Finally, win a race there. I have the win picture. New NY Yankee. We call him New York Yankee. He was a full brother to Houghton's horse TV Yankee, which was a world champion. Um, that Sunday, I'm in the Sea Garden with my wife and her cousin and husband, and we walk in, and we always sat by the window. The wall came out about 2 feet, and behind that little wall was a table, right? And there I saw Mickey Mantle sitting in there, right, with a young girl. So obviously he didn't want any publicity. But I had just seen him Delvin
Yeah,
Miller's
in the
office.
office.
So I figured he'd know me, but he didn't. When I went and said, hi, Mickey, how you doing?" He was like totally standoffish, like, "What are you doing bothering me?" Right? Especially so I said, "I'm very sorry to bother you." I said, "But I had a horse race at Pompano the other night, New York Yankee. I got the win picture. You think if I brought it to you, you would sign it?" He said, "You got a horse named New York Yankee?" I said, "Yes." He says, "You go home and get that picture and bring it back here." Well, I oh, it was a good 5 minute walk, right? But I ran back to my apartment. I got the picture. I came back. He went, "Yeah, you see, you're right." And he just wrote on there, "Good luck, Ron, Mickey Mantle." And then I gave him a napkin. I said, "Could you just sign this for my friend over there?" He just looked at me like, "Boy, you're stretching it." But anyway, he did sign it to him. But I want to ask your viewers, maybe, I know this is a horse show, but I'm sure that have different interests. What do you think Mickey Mantle's biggest regret was in his career? I'm not going to say it now. Let's wait 10, 15 minutes to see if any of you or any of your listeners can come up with that. What was his biggest regret in his career?
All right, let me go down these things here, and this way we can get to the bottom and get the answer to that. Okay, Bab says, "Hey, this mead isn't very expensive. Simply strawberry and raspberry have to be delicious." He must have looked up.
Yeah, you probably looked on the website.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it isn't
They're
very.
lovely, both of them.
And I'm going to tell you, Bab, you get some. It's really good. It's really good. Okay, George, question. Larry or anyone else can answer. Is there anything you can see in a horse where you know he is not going to win? He shouldn't even be on the racetrack. Well, just like Ron was kind of explaining with Mickey, when you're out there, there's a lameness problem, and if something's bothering them, and it's not that noticeable to maybe the state steward or the vet, the the driver would know. You could feel it. Other than that, I don't know. Any Joe, Anthony?
Just lameness, really.
Yeah,
That's about all you could. In a
something you
post-grade,
just
I mean-
feel in them. Yeah, I mean it's.
No, it'd be unless you were it's too there's so many. That's the reason why nobody ever wins betting on horses, is because there's too many variables. It's there's with the standardbreds, there's 7 days in between. You have no idea what happens in them 7 days. They could be they could have got hurt. They could have got the colic. They could have been left in the stall because of weather conditions or a lameness problem. You don't know from 1 week to the next.
Sometimes they just don't feel right. You know, it's not even where you could pinpoint it. They just don't feel right, and
sometimes you see if a horse is all lathered up, they won't race that well when they're all high strung and lathered up. And
but you'd have to really pay attention. You'd have to be right there.
Yeah,
you'd have
you
to
have to see
horse week to week. So the best. So okay,
Larry, I got one here I can answer for you.
Go ahead.
Okay. One of the guys says he thinks that Mickey Mantle's biggest regret was his drinking. Well, I'm sure it was, but that wasn't it. And you know that he got a liver right away. Just jumped ahead of 100 people that were in line, but he did get it. In my condominium on Easter, him and Whitey Ford were friends of one of the people that were in my building. They owned a restaurant in the city called Roses, right? And I remember them sitting there after everybody left in the rec room with 2 glasses, just like you get in a hotel, and a bottle of Dewar's, just sitting there, just drinking like that. But but that, I'm sure that was his but it wasn't what he said was his biggest regret. This PM says, Ron, my memory is failing, but didn't you have a driver who was good enough to be a professional golfer? They said he was the nicest guy around. Yes, his name was Ernest Blue. Big Bill knew him. He was a groom. And the guy always was dressed in beautiful khaki shorts, the nice shoes, expensive golf, and a hat. And he came to drive. He said he could drive. We took him in, and he quit being a groom, and he drove for me. He was a semi-pro golfer. But his problem was this: he was deathly afraid of snakes. I mean, deathly afraid of snakes. All my trucks had 2 spares, 3 spares, and a jack. But if his truck broke down on that stretch in North Carolina with a flat where there's the shoulder and then it goes into that water where the trees grow, he wouldn't get out of the truck. He'd wait till somebody come and I have to pay for tire service. He wouldn't. Anyway, he was at a semi-pro tournament in Sarasota, and he was leading going into the 18th hole. And at the 17th hole, people found out this about him, and they said, Ernie, you better watch out. When you get to the 18th hole, they said that there'd been a lot of rain and there's a lot of snakes up by the 18th hole. He just quit. He just resigned. But yes, he was nice. He was a very nice guy. One time I was supposed to go to Florida, pick up a load of horses with Ernie and his partner. His partner got sick. And 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I told my wife, I said, I'm not going to be home. I have to go to Florida with Ernie. I hopped in the truck. He drove down to the bottom of the Jersey Turnpike and then pulled over, and I drove. He took his shoes, and he was the cleanest guy in the world. Got in the truck. I said, Ernie, can I ask you something? How would you even know I know how to drive a truck, right? You're just going to get up in the sleeper and go to sleep? He said, Do you think I think anybody owns a truck like this isn't going to drive it and is going to get in an accident and smash it up? I'm not worried about that at all. So he actually thought because I owned the truck, I already had the ability to drive it. You know what I mean? That I wasn't going to crash it. But of course, I was driving. I drove dump trailers before that, which is much harder than. I mean, you have to be much safer with the horses. But yeah, Ernie was he was really a good guy.
Hey
So
Ron,
that answered that question.
talk about the Yankees. I don't know if you can see this too good. That's my uncle with Phil Rizzuto and Yogi Berra and the Yankee Club.
Wow. Oh, I see it. Yeah, that's something. Yeah.
Did,
All right, here's the
did
question.
you have a driver named Don Maynard, or was that Brookledge?
The what?
A driver named Don Maynard, I think his last name was.
Yeah, he worked for Brookledge and then came to me.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I remember him.
Yeah, he worked with the greatest guy in the world, but he was as slow as molasses.
Yeah,
But a great driver. Whenever we would load horses to go to Buffalo, my drivers, Big Bill and all my guys go right up 17, right?
yeah.
Not down right. Now, he wouldn't do that. He'd go right up to Albany and then over, and it gave him the better ride, but it took another 2 hours, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
But when you had him, he quit Brookledge and he came to work for me. I would say be at Houghton's Barn 8:00, 9 horses to go to Buffalo. I would pull in, I'd see his car by the track kitchen. He'd be sitting there. I said, it's 10 minutes to 8. When are you going to go? I'll be there. Next thing, he had to go and get another cup of coffee. He finally pulled in front of the barn, right? He'd put a couple of trunks in, then he'd go on the roof. They'd hand him a jar cup. I'd come back down, lean on the door by the where you put the trunks, have more coffee. Oh, but
He always had coffee. I remember that.
but he gave them never had a complaint, and always on time, and I
He
never
was
had a
very
problem with it.
reliable.
Yeah. No,
All right, PM says, Larry, when you and Donald Dancer on last week's show, you were talking about drivers who hit their horses left-handed. You forgot to mention Paul Appel and Eddie Heisel. You're right, PM.
Yeah.
Mention them. You're right. 2 left-handers. Okay. Howard Lee, nobody commenting on Guarino having track manicured to his. Well, what's there to say? He's the track owner. He owned the horse, and he did what he did. He just shouldn't have said nothing, because now there's a lot of people very, very upset about that, and he shouldn't have said what he said. But and just like I said before, in the early part of the show, what if that horse was owned by the track superintendent, and the track superintendent's wife said, yeah, we knew we were going to race him with no shoes, so I had my husband manicure the track just the way we know he likes it. Would Guarino be okay with that, or would he throw him off the grounds and fire him?
Yeah.
I don't know, but
I don't know, but
you don't know. Okay, here we go. Question from George LeCroy. Larry, did you go to Vegas with Stu the first time he went to play gin? One of the guys he beat out of 30,000 said he showed up with 2 gangsters from New York. Was just wondering if he was taking, I guess it cut off.
maybe she's talking.
All right, so here's the story with this real quick. No, I didn't go with him when he first went. When he left Monticello, I hooked him up with all the big Jewish guys up at the Concord and all the hotels that in the card room, and he busted everybody out. But he was a sick, degenerate gambler. It made no difference how much money he had. And he was with a mob guy called Philly Brush, I think, from Harlem. And them are the guys that they had to get him out of New York, because even though they were fronting him all the money, but they couldn't keep up with his losses, and he owed everybody money. They took him out of there. They brought him up to me up in Monticello. After he busted everybody out up there, I told him, I said, Stewie, you can't stay here at the racetrack. There's no handle here. And he went to Florida. He stayed there for a short period of time. Then he went to Vegas. And I believe the guys that he was with the Harlem guys, Philly Brush and one other guy, I don't remember their names. And I believe but I went to see him I went to see him. I called him up, and he just won the poker tour. He ran out of people to play gin with because he beat everybody worldwide. He was unbelievable, and he played with his cards open. He played, but anyway, I called him up one day, and he just won $1 million. I called him up. I says, Stewie, I says, you're all right, ain't you? I says, yeah. I says, I need 100,000, 100. He says, come on down. I went down. He gave me the money, and then a few years later, I heard that Spilatro beat the shit out of him because he owed him a lot of money in Vegas betting sports, and
How can you beat up a little guy like that?
Right.
When I flew out there, he says that first of all, the guy's a stone killer. So who am I? I just went out there with a few 100,000 to give it to Stewie, and I met him. I brought him to Spilatro's house, and I asked Frank. I says, "Why did he do that?" He says, "Because he showed up with a gun in his waist. A gun, he had a gun with him." And he says, "You bring a gun to my house." That was the story that he gave. But Stewie weighed 80 pounds. He was just a little guy. But I paid the debt he owed. I think he owed Spilatro 100-something thousand, and he owed another bookmaker. So I says, naturally, you're not going to take no more action from him or nothing. No. So I straightened that whole thing out for him. And I says, now what about this other guy? I says, Stewie, what's this guy's name? He said the guy, and Spilatro says, well, fuck him. And I says, well, look, here's the money. You take care of him. Just make sure nothing happens to this kid. He says, don't worry about it. He'll be all right. And that was it. And I left. So George, that was the last time I saw him. He died a little while after that, penniless. Sad. Okay. Let's see about you. Oh, that was the
part of your question.
What is it? That was the last fight.
Yeah, talking about you. He wanted to know if those two guys, if they were talking about you.
All right. Let's see. Lincoln or Cadillac? Stony Tony. That was a question that Tommy Stiggs asked me. Lincoln or Cadillac? He loves Cadillacs. I had Cadillacs almost my whole life, but one year I bought a Mark IV. I think me and Lou Gigani bought 2 Lincolns, and we drove down to Florida with them. And the Lincoln rode better than the Cadillac as far as a smoother ride. But what I didn't like about it, when you went around turns, it would I don't know, like it had like 4 coil springs or something. The body would shift. I wasn't comfortable with it. So after that, I always went back to Cadillacs. So it's Cadillac for me. Okay. Rick Simon, BMW owns Rolls Royce. Okay. So it was BMW. I didn't know. I thought it was Volkswagen. Okay. So it was BMW, but I know they had to pay close to $40 million just for that hood ornament. Okay. Let's see. Tommy Sticks Social Club. Hi, Tommy. Hi, Tommy. How are you? Okay, let's see. Tommy Sticks. Jesse, my man. How are you? Jesse, my man. How are you?
I'm good. Tommy saying.
Larry, none of your listeners have come up with the answer for Mickey Mantle yet. They have all good answers, but that's not the reason.
You're going to tell us?
Well, right now?
Okay, no, we'll wait a little while longer.
Okay.
I used to see Mickey Mantle when Alan Finkelson left Monticello and he went to Pompano. He was the head of the entertainment and everything. He was a publicity guy, and he'd have George Steinbrenner and all the Yankees, not all of them, but most of them up in the dining room almost every night. They were in spring training. And I got to know a bunch of them, but George Steinbrenner wanted to give me some horses, and I wound up giving them to. But I met all of them. They used to come up with, because Alan Finkelson, he knew everything about he could have been a man. He could have been the Yankees manager. He was very, very sharp guy. All right, let's see. Tommy Stig, Simon, David, Arthur. I wouldn't call the new metal ends. I wouldn't call beautiful. It's anything but the old metal. Oh, I see. I wouldn't call the new Meadowlands beautiful. It's anything but the old Meadowlands blew it away. Yeah, but they had when Guarino took over, they had to get rid of the old metal. It was 5 or 6 stories high. It was very expensive to run. It could probably hold 30, 40,000 people, and 200 people showed up. So they had to get rid of it. It was old and it was too big. So he built the smaller one on the opposite side of the racetrack, and that was that.
Larry, at the old Meadowlands, just to reiterate what I said about when you watched the races, you were higher. Underneath the building was the paddock. The
Yeah,
horses were under there. They had a tunnel from there to the paddock that they now have. The original paddock is still there. They had a tunnel that you bring the drivers. But you can imagine with the horses under the building, you could stand right up to the building and look down into the paddock. So that's how high and elevated you were looking out into the track. That's why
yeah,
the visibility was so great. And then they had a wall that you could just lean on, and then the paddock and the other side. When you horse one, you just went out of a door on that side, you walked down right onto the track, and everybody could see everything. The visibility was much, much better. And but
yeah.
this new one is beautiful. It's compact and everything. Got a beautiful looking bar in there. I didn't get anything to drink, but I went in and looked at it. But it was very nice. So so maybe some people like it, maybe some people don't.
Marco Big M says you guys need Joey Molino on the show. I can imitate Joey Molino. He'll never come on this show, but I could eliminate him. Be easy.
Very, very easy. Just 2 words.
Fuck. That's it. Okay. Larry, by the way, Joey Molino, I watched the show because it reminds me so much of when I was like 14, 15, 16, and I used to hang out on the corner with all the wise guys, and that's just how they spoke, just like that. He just talks just like a street guy, and I get a kick out of watching him. Okay, Sheldon G. Larry, do you and Joe or Dominic Anthony, you mean, ever drive together in the same race? No, I was gone before Joe became famous, but I was there when Anthony was there. In fact, I had barn A, and he was right across the way in Jimmy Curran's barn with his horse. But I was never in a race with you, right?
I don't know. I don't think so. I don't remember if you were.
When was your last time driving, Larry?
The last race I drove, the last 2 races I drove was that search mission. I played.
No. What year?
I don't remember.
Oh, last year I drove was 87.
No, it was 2006, I think.
Oh yeah, no, it was.
I think 2006.
Before that.
Yeah, because I had trouble getting in the bike. I hadn't driven for years, but I had these 2 horses stabled in the hypoxic stall that I built, and they were training really good. And I don't think neither one of them raced in a year. And I qualified them. They were really good, and I knew I was going to bet on them. So I just finished back in the qualifier. And then I knew between them not racing in a year and the qualifier didn't look that good, I just and with me driving, me and the owners, Don, we bet on both of them, and both of them win. That was the last time I ever drove, and that was at the Meadowlands. I think it was 2006. I put the one race up. That one race is up there.
Yeah.
Didn't I put that race up? I forgot.
Yeah. It played it a couple times.
Yeah. Okay. How is the owner of the Meadowlands having a horse in the Hamiltonian not a conflict of interest? No, it's not. Larry, you're so correct. They fixed the track for no. Yeah. Well, I didn't say that. Corral said it. I just heard Roy Anderson.
You just passed a comment about someone asked a question about you on a Merlino's podcast. Did
Yeah,
you see
Pat
that?
called me.
Yeah.
Yeah, go up about 3. Someone just asked Joe Molino. Yeah, that one.
Someone just asked Joe Molino if he knew Larry Rolla during a live stream. I left a comment telling him about this channel and Larry's history in racing. Joey, he don't need to go on anybody else's show. He's probably the hottest thing out there right now, and they try to chop him up. They have a lot of. There's one guy that really chopped him up pretty good about things he did when he was in Philadelphia.
Yeah,
And,
Dominic Cicali.
no, there was another one that really chopped him up. The other guy, the guy that was the head of the
Ruggiero or Reggiano, whatever his name was.
what's his name? He was with the Gigani crew. He was the boss of Boston. What the hell was his name? I forgot. But anyway, he chopped him up pretty good. But Molino did what you had to do. When you're a street guy, you do what you had to do. And there's 90% of the time, them street guys are broke, and they got to do what they got to do, and they do it. And he did what he had to do, and a lot of people remember that. And they're trying to chop him up, but he don't give a fuck. He just goes right on, and he has one of the most popular shows now, and he's going to be okay because he opened up that place, and now they're going to franchise it, and he's doing yeah, the chief. Yeah, he would never come on my show, but I if I ever got a chance to meet with him, one of his best friends when he was a jockey was a good guy that used to, and I can't even think of his name. I shouldn't, but he used to come when I was at Hialeah. He used to come by me every morning and gallop a couple of horses for me and everything. He was broke, and he was very good friends with him. Told me a lot of stories about him, and so I have a little bit I could talk to him about, but he'd never come on the show, and I know there's no reason for me to ever go on his show. But he's I listen to him once in a while. He's a funny guy. Okay, I left a comment. Yeah, okay.
You're on Howard Lieberman.
How is the owner of the Meadowlands having a horse in a conflict? Okay. I'm going back. Okay, here. Roy Anderson. Hopefully,
You skipped over Howard Lieberman.
huh?
He said, you skipped over Howard Lieberman. He says, my scans to check tumors again. That one, I'm 79, limited on invasive procedures.
My scans to check tumors again.
Yeah,
I'm
because you asked him
limited on invasive. I wonder if he's the guy that I talked to on the phone. Well, good luck, Howard.
Yeah.
Good luck to you. Let us know how you make out. Okay, let's see. Sundance, what'd she say? Highest Tony, sorry. Roy Anderson. Hopefully we will avoid big pharma and hospitals as long as we can. Eric. Larry, COVID vaccines reduce the natural immunity of millions of people. Biden and Fauci should be in prison. I know one guy on this agrees with you 1,000%, and I think so do I.
Make it 2. Make it 3.
And I tell you what, a lot of people will be going to prison.
Yeah.
A lot of people will be going to prison.
Yeah.
They
Larry,
got them
can I tell you
red-handed.
something?
Go ahead.
One of the owners of one of the inventors of the vaccine, Dr. Malone, he's now publicly come out and said, "Don't ever take this vaccine ever again, because it does exactly that. It kills your antibodies. It kills the natural antibodies that ward off stuff like that." But Dr. Malone, who was one of the inventors of the Pfizer vaccine, you can look it up, said, Don't take it." He said it was a total mistake. First of all, it wasn't even a vaccine. Just came out, like within less than a year. That
Yeah.
was like a flu shot, right? And they were given the wrong flu shot. Trump was criticized because when he got it, he said he was going to say take vermectin like you did, and everybody said, "Oh, what are you putting bleach in your system?"
Yeah.
Remember they
Oh,
called him that?
they came down on him for everything. And
Yeah,
look,
but
guess
he was
what?
he was the first one that took the drug you're taking, Larry. And a friend of mine in Florida went into the hospital with COVID. They told him he would not go on a respirator, and they said he didn't have a long time to go, but they would give him this experimental drug, and at that time it wasn't out like it is now, vermectin. He took it, and in 3 days he was normal and came home on the fourth day. So I mean, maybe a coincidence, but the stuff, as far as I'm concerned, I never knew anybody that took it that it didn't work.
Yeah,
Yeah.
me too. Me too.
Yeah, and Larry, even if you come back with your blood test that says you're 0.00001, I mean that's really nothing. I mean,
Yeah,
I know you don't want that, but that's really nothing. You can go forever like that.
yeah, I know. I know. Okay, let's see. Let's see what this says. If anyone out there gambles, just don't get too caught up. Take your, yep. Let's see. Joe, I was typing what you said about Sierra Leone. Bears in 1.6 million. I don't know what that means.
That means he won 6 million bearing in. So, like you said, Larry, he could have won 16 million if he did.
I was typing what you said about Sierra Leone. Bears in and won 6 million. Well, what does that have to do with it? What he won? What the horse is doing? If he won 6 million or $6, he's still doing something. It's nothing about what he made.
All right, David. David Arthur wishes Eddie good luck. He has 3 in tomorrow at Saratoga. Okay, let's see. Box, Ron. Since horses are not stalled at the
He
track,
answered that one already.
we answered that one. Okay. You know what I just noticed? Remember when we first went on, before we went on, Ron couldn't see the comments?
Yeah, he's reading them now.
I know, he's fixed it. Whatever happened, he fixed it.
No, I got my wife's iPad here.
Oh,
Mine's still. I see a little box up here that I could press, and I think it would take care of it. I'm not going to try, but I got my wife's iPad over here, and I see all the comments.
Try it at the very end, Ron, when we're all leaving.
Yeah,
And
it's a little box, because I have the screen here, but over here it's that white thing with all those things that says stuff.
Yeah.
And there's a box up here above Safari that mimics that.
Okay.
yeah, that's what I said before.
Larry, last week on your show, I think when Joe mentioned it, you mentioned a guy named Austin Hope.
Yes.
Yep.
Remember him? He was a very nice guy.
Sure.
Yeah.
Very, very tall. He was about 6'6", right?
Yep.
And one night when I was at Yonkers taking the horses over on Race and Return, he had a horse called Fast Clip. That was a stud horse. The horse won in the paddock while the groom was washing him. The horse reached down, grabbed his thumb, bit his thumb off, and pulled the tendon out from his elbow this long. The groom just passed out and passed out on the floor. Actually bit his thumb off and pulled the tendon out, still connected to the thumb that long, right from his elbow.
Wow.
Man.
Name of the horse was Fast Clip.
One day at Mike Agliardi's farm in the summer months, one of his horses come charging at the gate and bit a whole breast right off.
Yeah. They don't know how strong they say that they see that you're actually 7 times smaller than what they see. So
That's
that's
what
why
I
they don't.
heard.
I don't know if that's true, and I know with dogs
I
there's something like
heard
that.
the same thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
7 times smaller.
That
Yeah,
they
smaller.
don't that they don't
Yeah.
they I'm sorry, they see you 7 times bigger.
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 Okay.
Bigger.
Right.
Excuse me, I
Okay.
made a mistake. 7 times bigger. That's why they don't mess with you. But I can tell you something about the strength of a horse, which I'm not telling you guys. You know more than me. If I've had them go have a fit in the truck, and they totally tear the whole truck up.
Oh yeah.
Rip the cross ties out of the wall, knock the stalls down, rear up, knock the head through the ceiling,
Yeah.
kick a hole right through the back of the truck.
We got
The
1,200
only
pounds of
reason
muscle there. They can
the
do a
only
lot of
time you
damage.
control them is they just are totally exhausted. But
Yeah.
I'm just saying their strength is incredible.
And we control them with a little bit.
Jose Martin had a coffee truck at Belmont. I don't know. Frank Martin borrowed $1 million from Signet.
Summers.
Yeah, that's what I said. That was the guy that built North Shore Towers. He was the builder, Sigmund Summers. And when he died, his wife continued racing the horses with him.
Okay, Carlos Martin is a pedigree genius and great trainer, conditioner, particularly on the weeds. What's that mean? Particularly on the weeds.
Don't know.
Particularly on the weeds. Okay. I got a couple of things to say about that, but I'm not gonna. PM Larry, were you around when they had the 2 riots at Yonkers and Roosevelt? I saw some videos of them. No place was safe. If you were a horseman, you could easily have been killed. I don't think I was there. I don't remember. I remember one riot. I don't think I was there because I remember there was a security guy or something that got killed in one of them. I don't think I was there. I think I was barred from the place. I don't know. I don't
They
remember.
ripped the TVs out of Yonkers Raceway one night. They ripped the TVs off the wall.
Okay, Big Bill worked for Red Smith.
Okay.
Good hands, Mickey. Mickey was one of the greats. I said that before, and I got in trouble because I mentioned what Ron mentioned, that he had a few problems, and had it not been for that, he would have been one of the greats, right up there with all of them. A true Hall of Famer. I heard on Facebook that he retired now. He don't even drive anymore. I just saw that, I think, a week ago. But Mickey was really good. Mickey was good. Larry, does anybody know why Richie did Bobby Lupo? Wait a minute. Now, hold it. Detroit Siggy. Larry, does anybody know why Richie did Bobby Lupo?
That was on a Steven Seagal movie.
No, somebody called me up. A good friend of mine called me up just yesterday. I have it downstairs, and he asked me if I knew. I think it was a Joe Lupo, or maybe Bobby Lupo. I don't. He came from Lodi, New Jersey, and he disappeared in the 70s. And my friend's doing a documentary on him. So I don't know if that has anything to do with. Does anybody know why Richie did Bobby Lupo? I don't know what that means, but I don't.
Larry, that was in a Steven Seagal movie.
Oh, I don't know.
This guy Richie come right out and murdered him right on the sidewalk.
Wow.
I don't know. So what?
You know that Steven Seagal movie's Hard to Kill and all those things?
Yeah, I don't watch him.
Yeah.
Anthony,
What?
speaking of documentaries, nothing to do with anything, but did you see the Billy Joel documentary they're talking about?
No.
Supposed to be some great documentary out on Billy Joel.
I gotta watch it.
Yeah, someone just told me, and I heard it a couple of places.
Yeah, no, I never even heard it. I didn't even hear of it.
Yeah.
Rick Simon says because Richie was a chicken pussa hole, and sold drugs to kids. I don't know anything about that. Howard Lieberman, Mickey Mantle regretted drinking too much. Nope, somebody said that already. That's not the answer, right, Ron?
No, it's not. And
Oh.
people that drink don't regret drinking. They like drinking.
Did it have something to do with someone he wanted to marry?
No.
Okay.
I can tell you now if you want. No.
Yeah, you
Go
got
ahead.
it.
All right. It's in one of his books. His biggest regret is that he played 2 years longer than he should have. It dropped his average below 300. So he ended up with a 298 average. That was his biggest regret. He said he
Yeah.
should have quit 2 years earlier.
Yeah, but you know what? He was such a legend. I don't think
Yeah,
the hell?
that's what he said. That's what he wrote in one of his books.
Good thing he wasn't. Good thing Heiser at that time didn't control baseball, because Mickey would have lasted 1 year.
I don't know.
No injections, no knee injections. Between Mickey and Joe Namath, they never would have been able to play if Heiser was in charge of who can. You can inject your knee, but you're going to miss the whole season. Ron, my memory is failing me, but didn't you have a driver who was good enough to be a professional?
Yeah,
I
answered that.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe thinking thinking he was going to die young like his father.
No, we know the answer.
Mickey was a heavy alcoholic drinker. Mickey could have been.
Yeah, not kidding.
It's too sad. Mickey Mantle regretted Ted Williams. Okay. Billy Martin had the same drinking problem.
Yeah.
When Joe Guarino win training titles at Yonkers, I paid tuition for my daughters. Joe win like 12 races out of 24 over 6 days.
Wow.
You hear that, Joe? You sent somebody to
college.
That's good. I'm glad.
Yeah. See, that's what I mean about Joe. He just sits there. He don't say nothing until you got him that stand for his phone. His phone used to fall off. He used to get up, walk around. Never say nothing. In the meantime, he could be talking about all of these things. He had quite he has quite a history, but he don't ever say nothing. He just sits there.
What can I say? I don't like to toot my own horn.
Well, I wasn't around then. I can't help you. I wasn't around then. I don't know your history.
I had a good run for about mid '90s till through 2000. You know.
Well,
I always did well. I maintained like 19% win percentage my whole life.
Wow.
But there was some years I was winning 33%.
Gary Gallo worked for Mr. Ron.
Yes, he did. That was Ralph Gallo's son. And also his brother, Mark Gallo, worked for me. He was 400 pounds. And when Ralph came, he had a son for everything. You know, he could do this, do that. But they were all very good. Gary Gallo was a great driver. Mark Gallo Ralph was good till he died. Then he became an agent. But Mark Gallo was great. Like I said, he was 400 pounds. I had to take the seat out of the truck and have two channel irons welded in and a special $1,400 Bostrom seat put in for him all the way back. And he had a partner. When they got in the truck, they wouldn't get out. I used to pay if you were on the road 7 days, I paid you for 8. And those guys did everything they could to stay on the road during the breakouts. But Mark was a great driver and a good person. Gary was a great driver. Good. He became an agent. He was very good. They both retired working for Brookledge down in Ocala, running a layover station there. Mark, and when they quit me, Mark went to Brookledge, and Gary, he was an agent up in Vernon. He quit and went there also. And so when Brookledge would bring the thoroughbreds from Lexington down to Gulfstream, they like to lay them over there for a couple hours. And Mark was the head of that whole farm, and Gary was too. A friend of mine just told me that Mark isn't doing too good, but and Gary, and but they're both retired now. But they were all employees of mine, and they were great employees and good friends. Good friends. All most of the employees I had were.
All right, Gary D says, what your guys' favorite number one food is? Well, my number one food, I'll go from.
Haagen-Dazs and waffles for you.
I like what I like is steak, macaroni, and chicken cutlets. That's it.
I
could eat
like
that.
those too.
Right around, forever. I could eat that.
I'll let you know when I get back from Italy.
Nice.
I don't want to say anything now until I go there and eat there. When I come back from there.
When are you leaving?
October 2nd. October 2nd to the 15th.
Okay, let's see. Didn't Mickey Mantle die of cirrhosis? I would think either his drinking and a shitty teammate. Lots of Yankees disliked him. Joe, is that true? Lots of Yankees disliked him. Joe DiMaggio especially. Wow, I didn't know that.
They said he was a kind of nasty guy.
He was drinking of the fact that he was a shitty teammate. Wow, I didn't know that. Okay. I used to love driving from Queens over to the Meadowlands for live thoroughbred racing at night in October. I know the thoroughbreds hated that night racing. Boy, they didn't like that. Oh, Howard Liebman, one harness race horses are equal. One harness race horses are equal. I'm using Herv over anyone, and I win. Reason he could figure out what other guys was doing. My father compared Herv to Babe Ruth. Herv was great. Yes, he was.
Larry, I think I told you this story. I had this horse called Bull Ruler, and Hervé drove him every week. I got him from Houghton. Apple sold him to me for the owner. We won. That was the horse that I unchecked, and he fell down the winner's circle, pinned me down there on the ground. Anyway, he won 3 in a row. Then he got beat. Momentous actually beat him at Roosevelt. And then he won a couple. And then I was there with a bunch of friends. And this Jody Stafford, him and his father or brothers, they were from Freehold. They had a horse called Jersey Bunny. I think I told you the story, Larry, when I met you for lunch. And a friend of mine's father was there, and he was a handicapper. And he said, "You can't beat Jersey Bunny." I said, "What are you talking about?" He said, "Oh, he won 3 in a row at Freehold. You can't beat him." I said, I think we can beat him. Meantime, I saw Louis, and I said, "Louis, we could beat Jersey Bunny, can't we?" And he said, "You better go in the paddock and tell Hervé." This is a true story. I ran all the way from inside Roosevelt in the paddock. Hervé was playing hearts. And I said, "Hervé," I said, "Bull Ruler, he can beat Jersey Bunny?" He says, "You want to win?" I said, "Of course I want to win. I got 10 people over here tonight." "Okay, you get your picture taken." That's exactly what he said to me. "Okay, you'll get your picture taken." And sure enough, he just sat there. He sat third or fourth at the top of the lane. He pulled him, and off he went. So
Yeah, when I gave Hervé MMF, he was a maiden. And I told him, I says, "Listen," I says, "this horse will win." I couldn't race in Yonkers. I was up at Monticello. But I bought him from Chapman. He had 8 quarter cracks. I patched them all. I got him ready. And I told Hervé, I met him at the diner. And I says, "Hervé, I'm going to send you a horse, but you can't fuck around with this horse." That's the horse that John Gotti owned. It was under my mother's name. And I says, "This horse will win all the way up to free-for-all." And he did every week. Win, win, win. I think he won 10 or 11 in a row every week. And that's why I said a lot of them second and third place finishes, they could have been very easily wins for him. He was good. Okay. why, Joe, why didn't they hijack both trucks of shoes?
Thought they were wise guys. Yeah, you're right. But I guess Florsheim was wiser than them. I guess it was happening a lot, and they
All
should
right,
have
here's
stopped it.
the guy that PM. This guy must be in the horse business because he knows this horse, Gage Snell. It's a horse I had.
Yeah, I remember Gay Schnell.
Larry, Gage Snell's story last race at Roosevelt missed the Kadish bet a lot, but left 2 tickets on Cloud Casino table and lost them. Next day, he told me the story. Told him I was sorry. He's I don't. Gay Snell was the horse I bought for Kadish in Florida, I think in Florida, and then I brought him to Monticello. I think I won 5 or 6 in a row with him or something like that, and that was the horse that they gave him Horse of the Year or something. And Kadish, who was a billionaire, he came to the dinner and they gave him a $3 plaque, and he started crying. Unbelievable. Guy was billionaire. Over a bullshit horse with a $3 plaque, you start crying.
Yeah.
So, but I don't know what this means, but left tickets on Cloud Casino table and lost them. I don't. Next day he told me the story. I don't know. Larry, you were thinking of Whitey Bulger in Boston. Larry, you were thinking of Whitey Bulger up in
Before
Boston.
when he says the Gigante grew up in New England.
What?
Before you says
Yeah, some guy in Philadelphia, though, he said.
some guy in Philadelphia, was it, or New England?
No,
I
it's
thought it said
Philadelphia.
Philadelphia?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Why was I saying that? What was I talking about?
I forget what the question was.
The guy who beat up Stewie or something. Maybe.
Oh, I don't know.
I don't know, but don't worry about it.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, Eric, my dad used to tell me Mantl's legs had to be wrapped before each games as they bled. I don't know. I know he had a lot of trouble with his knees or his legs. Larry, question. Can you name a horse same as a different horse from years ago? I think you could. I don't know how many years I think you could.
I think after 20 years.
20. Wow.
Yeah. That Guts and a thoroughbred named Guts.
Yeah.
In
I think he
1995, there was a thoroughbred named Guts, and the Guts that we know.
I think he might mean the same division of racing, standardbreds to standardbreds. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. Okay. I did a search on RTN on Search Mission. I did a search on Search Mission. What? I did a search on
RTN.
What's RTN mean?
Racetrack Network.
Oh, on Search Mission. Oh,
Search Mission. Okay.
All right. So what did it say? I got the race someplace here. Okay. Gene Borello said that stuff about Joey. Yeah. Gene Borello.
Yeah.
Gene Borello. Hi, Pat. How's your wife feeling? We spoke about ivermectin. You were very kind. You find. What is AG? I don't know what that means to listen to. You find, I don't know. Oh, we spoke about ivermectin. You were very kind. Yeah, so Howard Liebman must have been the guy I gave all and find you. I don't know what that word is. Okay, let's see. Search Mission ended up racing in Canada. Last race was December 16, 2011, 23 in the snow, 23 Fahrenheit in the snowstorm. Yeah, well, that wasn't me. In fact, I wonder if I could do this. Let me see if I could do this and then come back to this.
All right, guys. See you next Tuesday.
No, wait a minute. Wait a second.
But nice seeing everybody.
Wait a second.
Larry, I got one quick question to ask you guys.
Go ahead.
On Sunday at Saratoga, the last race was supposed to be a mile and a 16th. They set the gate up at a mile and an eighth
Oh yeah, I heard about that.
by mistake. How would they remedy that for the
I
betters and everything else?
I don't know.
And what happens if your horse was charging at the end and come up second, another 16th of the mile, he would
You
have
win.
won.
Yeah.
What?
I guess that'll go to the courts. Maybe. I guess I don't know. But guess what?
What?
Guess what? I found Search Mission's race without you guys even knowing. Watch this.
Oh,
Maybe
boy.
we can see the year.
You went on a search mission for search mission.
Yeah. How do I do this now? Oh, there it is.
There you go.
Oh, 06. See? 12/14/06.
Oh, okay.
That was the last time I drove. Is it going to play?
And start of the Daily Double. Here they come. Up and trotting, lukewarm favorite Saintly Image, that lone mare being hustled out of there, but it's Search Mission and Larry Rolla gunning to the front. He's a Blizzard from the outside, and on the rail, our Money Burner is showing alert trot into third. Around the first turn, it's Search Mission, Larry Rolla, and Search Mission trots on, takes the lead. Saintly Image, she settles in the second spot. A quick start there. Our Money Burner, a good start, clear in third. Gap of 2 lengths. Whip urging for Ebba's Yankee fourth. He's a Blizzard, looks to slide in fifth. And parked out is Miracle Yankee trying to go up sixth. Then it's Streetwise Hall and Marianne's Diamond at the back. 28 4/5 for Search Mission up front here. 10-1 dictates the terms. Saintly Image, pocket ride. 2.5 lengths to Our Money Burner, third up the backside, heading towards the half. And Ebba's Yankee is an anxious fourth half in, half out there. The Catman still parked with Miracle Yankee, inching up steadily, fifth on the outside. And Platino pulls with Ebba's Yankee. That'll give the Catman cover with Miracle Yankee fifth past the half. Then it's He's a Blizzard, jammed in sixth. Up on the outside comes Marianne's Diamond, follows the flow third over, followed by Streetwise Hall. Half was 58 2/5, a 29-3 stroll in that second quarter. Larry Rolla here rating Search Mission up front, getting his own way. Search Mission, rocky gated on those turns there, gets pressure from Ebba's Yankee on the outside. Ebba's Yankee comes calling and attacks Search Mission on the outside. Here comes Ebba's Yankee with Saintly Image in the box there. Miracle Yankee trying to rally from second over. Marianne's Diamond will fan out as well. Our Money Burner on the inside looks for room. 127 3 into the stretch. It's been Search Mission from the start. Game first over, Ebba's Yankee on the outside. Room at the rail for Saintly Image. Off cover comes Miracle Yankee in heavy traffic. Our Money Burner and He's a Blizzard is blocked as well. Search Mission almost home. Wire to wire. Search Mission does it. Search Mission shocks these over Ebba's Yankee. Very game second. The show spot, a photo there. Our Money Burner or.
Good job, Larry.
Confident drive, Larry.
You
Yeah.
notice
Half running behind the whole mile.
for all you Sierra Leone lovers, did you notice his head was perfectly straight down the stretch?
Oh, God. Next question.
Next.
Let's go to the questions now. And how was I? Okay, let's see. Larry, which driver won on that horse that Gandolfini?
Gandolfini's dad came to see.
Oh, well, Larry,
Osmosis.
Osmosis, yeah.
driver to win,
Who
said
drove him?
the rat.
Billy
Oh,
Parker.
Yeah, that was the horse. No, when Gandolfini's father, James Gandolfini, the guy from The Sopranos. Want me to tell that story, Robert? Now, let me tell it real quick. Gandolfini, when they were shooting The Sopranos at the Bada Bing Club over here, he called me up and he says, "Listen, my father is not doing well, and I take him with me all over, but he hasn't eaten in a week. He won't eat. He won't talk. He's He's not doing well at all, and I can't get him to talk to me and nothing. He says, but he loves horses. Would you mind if I brought him to the racetrack? So I says, yeah, okay. So I says, come tomorrow right around 11, 12 o'clock. So he brings him down there, and it's in a big Porsche Cayenne, and with the lift gate and everything. And here he comes sitting in the wheelchair, and you all saw the pictures. He was just sitting there, and he must have weighed 80 pounds, and he had his chin in his chest. And I went over to him and I says, hello, Mr. Gandolfini. My name is Larry Rolla. How you doing? No response. So I told the groom to go get one of the horses I had. His name was Osmosis. And he was a real, he was not a fast horse. He never won a race. He was a maiden. But my friend who lived in Monticello, his wife owned him and she loved him. And I used to have to ship him up to Monticello every Friday to race in I don't know, cheap race. And I got Billy Parker, who was leading driver up there. And I says, look, this horse, I said, you got to do me a favor. Just don't abuse him. Don't hurt him. He'll finish last every week, but I can't get rid of him, but I don't want to abuse him. So anyway, so I says, bring the horse out. So he brings the horse out, and this horse is the kindest horse. All he wants to do is be petted and fed apples. That's all. He don't want to do nothing else. So I bring the horse out, and I put the horse's head right in his lap. And within seconds, he lifted his head up, start petting the horse, and then he says to me, the first words he says in 2 weeks, well, what's the horse's name? So I told him Osmosis. So I says, listen, I says, I have to train him now. Would you like to help me train him? So we weren't going to train him, but I told the groom, just go harness him up, hook him up to a jog cart. So he did. He brings him back out. We lift him up. And I have pictures of all of this. In fact, I did a whole podcast on this. I picked him up. I put him in the jog cart seat. I put a helmet on him, a whip in his hand, and he was like a 10-year-old kid. And I had the groom walk him up and down, up and down. And after he walked about 10 minutes, I brought him back, took him off, and I says, and now he was talking, what a nice horse, and what a... So he says, when's he going to race? So, because I thanked him, I said, thank you very much for helping me train him. And he says, oh, that's okay. When is he going to race? And I couldn't tell him when he was going to race because the horse finishes last every week. So I said, no, I says, he's not racing. So the groom, who didn't know, the groom says, yeah, he's in Friday up in Monticello. So I says, oh, yeah. I said, but Monticello's far. It's 100 miles from here. And he says, no, he says, my son will take me to the Meadowlands here. We were at the Meadowlands, simulcasting. So I says, oh God. So I told Jimmy Gandolfini, I says, this horse is going to finish last. You can't bring him there. He says, what are you kidding? He come to life. He's not going to be. He can't wait till Friday comes. I said, oh my God. So I get my car Friday morning. I drive up to Monticello, and I get a hold of Billy Parker, who's driving the horse. And I says, Billy, I tell him the whole story. I says, you ever watch The Sopranos? He says, yeah, I love The Sopranos. I says, well, look. And I told him the whole story. I says, if you win this race, you're going to get a whole series of The Sopranos from the beginning to the end, plus the signed color picture of Jimmy, plus a letter from Jimmy Gandolfini. He says, Larry, this horse can't finish last every week. He can't win. I says, Billy, he has to win. I says, get a little creative, do whatever you have to do. He has to win. So with that, I leave the paddock and I go to the track photographer, and I tell the track photographer, listen, if this horse is in contention from the header stretch home, just keep snapping pitches. Just keep snapping pitches. So sure enough, the header stretch, he's head and head with, I forget who it was, another driver. And he wins. So I go and I go to the photographer and I make them put on because they do it all on the computer. I get the best picture that they had of him halfway down the stretch or whatever. And I made him put a special thanks to James Gandolfini Sr. Without his help, this win wouldn't be possible. It was his first lifetime win. Without him, it wouldn't be possible. And I had the picture blown up, and I framed it, and I put, I bet $100 on the horse, and I put the winning ticket in there, and I shipped it to him. And with that, I went to Florida, and I stayed in Florida for 6 months. When I came back, there was a message that he wanted to see me. So I went to see him at the Bada Bing Club, and he said his father just passed away, but he lived, he was happy, and everything was good, and he thanked me very, very much. So now, why did I tell that story? Somebody asked me that. Yeah, the name of the horse. The name of the horse. Yeah.
Or the driver. They want to know the driver.
They want to know the driver?
They had wanted to know the driver right there.
It was Billy Parker.
Yeah.
Billy Parker. That poor guy was the leading driver up there, and I put him on this rat every week, finishing up the track. I said, just don't put no welt marks on him. Just let him go around the track. But he win with him. He win.
With a little help from your friends.
Yeah.
Them things happen sometimes.
Yeah, well, once in a while you gotta do one for the.
That was very nice of you to do that, though, Larry.
Yeah,
that was very nice of you to do that.
Yeah.
Masterful drive, Larry. Never touched him with the whip. Around that last turn, it got a little shaky.
Yeah, you had to hold them together there.
Larry Rolla hand drive. Yeah. Oh, what a wonderful story, Larry. I love this story every time you tell it. I did a whole podcast on it. I showed all the pictures. In fact, in the book, all the pictures are in the book, I think. I think that story's in the book. Maybe it's not. I don't know. I don't remember.
I think it is. I think
it is in the book.
It is?
Yeah. Angelique, you got something to look forward to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another 22 pages.
Okay, Pat says Gandolfini had a big heart. Okay, that's it.
That's it, folks.
We've been on for 2.5 hours. Ron, once again, you were the star of the show.
No way. No way. Don't say that.
You have to go on.
Thank you. No.
Your stories are very, very, very interesting.
Thank you, Larry. I appreciate it.
And
It's nice seeing Anthony and you always, Joe. All right,
Yeah.
you guys
Thank
are great,
you.
and your stories are great.
Let me just. There's one more thing that just come in, so let me just read it, and then we'll call it a night. Larry, in a make-believe world, if they gave you your trainer's license back and you could get in a barn full of good horses, would you train them now, or would you continue to do what you're doing? If they ever gave me my trainer's license back, the only horse I would want to train is Sierra Leone. That's the only.
Oh boy.
I would like to see that, Larry.
That's it.
Larry.
And Steve says Ron is a wonderful guest.
Well, thank you, Steve.
Yes,
Thank you very much.
Tells the greatest stories.
Larry, I must have got the extended version. I mean, I must have got the extended version of your book because I read that in the afternoon on my balcony in Florida.
Oh,
Yeah, and
you're gonna make Angelique feel bad.
Yeah.
No, I didn't mean that. I got the extended version. Excuse me. She must have got the extended version,
Yeah.
not me.
Now, Ron, try that little box you were talking about. See if the comments come on.
Worked perfect. I can't believe it.
It's there, right?
It filled the whole screen. I don't have
Yeah.
that thing below, and the comments are on there. Can
Yeah.
you imagine that?
all right. Now here's another one. Ron has some of the scariest horse attack stories ever.
Yeah.
And here's another one. Everybody talks about Ron is great. Fellow trucker here, Ron, Rick Simon. I guess Rick. That's right. Rick was a trucker. Yeah. See what I mean?
I appreciate it. I appreciate it.
All right. So what we're going to do is every Tuesday we're going to send you a link, so you can come on every Tuesday. Thursday.
You're going to get sick of me, Larry.
No. Every Tuesday you're going to get a link.
Yeah.
So
I like to see Joe. I like to see Anthony. I would like to see Eddie too.
Yeah.
Eddie
He'll be on next week.
Eddie's a great guy.
Yeah, he is. Let's wish Eddie well tomorrow. And
Yeah.
Yes, we wish him well. We wish him very well.
That was really good.
Yeah. But anyway, thank you again, Larry. I appreciate it.
Eddie's a great
Joe,
guy.
and
your question.
I am signing off.
What?
I said I'm signing off.
All right.
I'm going.
Somebody commented that the Billy Joel
Oh yeah, I gotta look that up. I'll look that up tomorrow.
Yeah, somebody commented on it. Said it was 5 hours long, 2 parts.
Oh my God, what's it on? Do you know?
All right, I'm gonna play.
Ron.
I'm gonna play this.
See you, buddy. Larry, I'll call you tomorrow.
Larry, I asked you once. What is your favorite song, Larry?
My favorite song is a song Frank Sinatra sings called "Where or When."
Okay.
And
Did you ever hear the song "The Hungry Years" by Neil Sedaka?
Oh, great song!
That's one of my. He actually wrote that with Howard Greenfield.
Yeah, right? That's a great song.
And another quick story. You've heard of Jack Jones?
Sure.
Okay. One of my favorite songs with him is "I Know I'm Showing My Age" is "What I Did for Love." Anyway, Engelbert Humperdinck, right? There was these writers. I wrote this down to tell you. Richie Adams and Alan Bernstein wrote a song called "After the Lovin'."
Yeah.
They called Jack Jones to record the song, and he was having trouble with his marriage, and he said, "Oh, let me call you back in a couple of weeks. I'm busy now, right?" Anyway, he never called him back. They gave it to Engelbert Humperdinck.
Yeah.
It was the 7th most popular song that year.
Yep.
And I read his book too, and he said, "I can't believe how I turned this down." But anyway, he got first pick on that song.
The Hungry Years is one of the greatest songs ever written, I think. I just mentioned that last week with Alfred and Sharman.
Right.
It happened to come on, and I played it. Yeah, Neil Sedaka wrote it, and everybody sang it.
Yeah.
I think Engelbert sang it.
The words are very true. The words are very, very true.
Mr. Hungry Years, the once upon a time,
lovely
long ago.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Larry.
Guys.
Joe, I'll talk to you. I'll talk to you. Joe.
All right,
Larry.
I'm gonna go out. I'm gonna go out now. Just listen now.
Okay.
I'm gonna blank you out, but you still can hear. This song was written for me, and maybe you heard it, maybe you didn't. Where the hell is it? Okay, so I'm gonna say good night. I'll take you off, but if you want to listen to it, you can still hear it.
Okay.
This
thank
song
you.
was written for me. Here it
All
goes.
right, Larry.
Good
Take
night,
care. Have a good evening.
Dump those grudges, ditch those judges, they're just weighing you down. Drop the haters, procrastinators, 'cause one man's smile is just another one's frown. When it's time for the end, ain't no warning, my friend. One day you're here, next stop the pearly gates. So listen close to what I'm saying. Lighten up, it's getting late. Dump collections, self-reflections, they're just covered in dust. Why obsess, worry or stress? Just ask yourself, what's the fuss? When your doctor calls you on a Sunday afternoon, gonna be a blue Monday, you'll be howling at the moon. You know you never can cheat fate. Lighten up, it's getting late. Forget bling and glitter, text and Twitter. Don't need it to make my case. Say it old school, face to face. Dump the users, soul abusers, turn and walk away. Give yourself a kick in the ass, then raise your glass. Let's toast to the past and make the most of today. Keep the faith, rise above, do the things that you love. Find a reason every day to celebrate. So listen close to what I'm saying. Lighten up, it's getting late. Live it well, have a blast. Live it full, life goes fast. Carrying around too much dead weight. All the simple things are all that matter. Lighten up, it's getting late. Oh, what the hell? IGL. Oh, lighten up, it's getting late.
Thursday.